Chapter 432. The World Society was the only overlord in the north. In terms of territory, it was even bigger than the northwest Qin city. The entire north belonged to the World Society and was about 4,000 to 5,000 miles wide. Of course, due to the unique geographical environment of the north, the population wasn't as dense as the northwest Qin city. Therefore, its overall power was slightly weaker than the northwest Qin city. However, among the world 9 sects, its power was second only to the northwest Qin city. It was one of the two pillars of the entire western mainland. It was already spring, but there was still very little green in the north. Most of its territory was scorched red. There would be a patch of green in about every 100 miles. Although it wasn't as exaggerated as the oases, it wasn't too far off. Most of the people were gathered in these oases. Yang Dingtian and the other 4 rode on their flying mounts and arrived at the headquarters of the World Society, King City, when the sky was about to turn dark. The entire King City was built on a mountain. It was grand and magnificent. The city was 1,000 meters tall and towered above the clouds. Of course, the Temple of Blood was also in the Mountain of Blood. However, it was only a cave that was excavated in the Mountain of Blood to form the Temple of Blood. As for King City, it started from the bottom of the mountain and went up layer by layer. Each layer was narrower and more magnificent than the last. This huge stone mountain was about 1,000 meters tall. Floor by floor, there were a total of 9 floors. Of course, the people who lived in King City were stronger and nobler with each layer. Yang Dingtian looked at the city from afar and couldn't help but exclaim. Compared to Cloud Sky City and even the northwest Qin City, King City could be said to be an architectural miracle. Before they got close to King City, a group of flying cavalrymen surrounded them and shouted, "Who are you? Come down immediately or we'll kill you." Song Chunhua lifted her mask and said, "It's me." Instantly, a few of the flying cavalrymen bowed and said respectfully, "Greetings, Commander." Then, this group of flying cavalrymen escorted Yang Dingtian and the others to King City's aerial platform and landed. The aerial platform was on the 5th level of King City. Yang Dingtian and the others had just landed when a group of cavalrymen rushed forward. Then, the leading cavalryman got off his horse and knelt down. "Greetings, Commander." "Get up." Song Chunhua said, "Shall we return to the sect?" "He's doing very well. He just misses the Grand Commander very much," the leading knight said. Then, he looked at Yang Dingtian and the others. At this moment, Yang Dingtian and the others were all wearing golden masks. "These people are my friends." Song Chunhua did not reveal the identities of Yang Dingtian and the others. No wonder World Society's Song Shao was so tempted to send out such an elite troop. After hearing this, Song Chunhua didn't say anything. She just nodded silently. The group of people arrived at the top of King City. This was the most important place of World Society. Only one person had the qualifications to stay here, and that was World Society's leader, Song Shao. Even Song Chunhua could only stay on the 8th floor. When they arrived at the highest floor of the main hall, Song Chunhua knelt down and said loudly, "World Society's Demon Dragon Cavalry, Steel Warrior Army Commander Song Chunhua, greets World Society's leader. Enter." An expressionless voice came from inside the main hall. This was Song Zhao's voice. It was firm, cold, and even sounded unreasonable. "Yes." Song Chunhua stood up and walked inside. Yang Dingtian and the rest followed in. "Who allowed you to enter?" Song Minghua shouted in a low voice. His eyes were filled with anger, but he stood with his back bent and didn't dare to move. The World Society's rules were too strict. It was even stricter than Qin City's. Yang Dingtian ignored him and walked in. "Impudent! You dare to behave atrociously in my World Society?" Song Minghua suddenly pulled out his sword. Instantly, the knights behind him also pulled out their swords. Logically speaking, Yang Dingtian and the rest were friends brought by Song Chunhua, so Song Minghua shouldn't be like this. However, he still pulled out his sword. It could be seen that his heart was filled with instinctive hostility towards Song Chunhua. Humph. In the main hall, a cold snort sounded, but no one knew who it was directed at. However, Song Minghua seemed to be frightened. He immediately bowed and stood on the spot, not daring to move. Yang Dingtian and the rest followed Song Chunhua into the main hall. This main hall was extremely huge and grand. Yang Dingtian even had a feeling of entering the Athens temple. Moreover, Yang Dingtian could see that the entire main hall was a single entity. There were no traces of building. Soon, Yang Dingtian could see that this main hall was actually carved out of a giant rock. Instantly, Yang Dingtian was speechless. To carve out such a main hall from a mountain, the world society was actually so domineering. At this moment, the world society's leader, Song Shao, was standing in front of the throne at the end of the main hall. This throne was more than 10 meters from the ground. There were dozens of steps, giving people a feeling of supremacy. Yang Dingtian couldn't help but sigh. Even the northwest Qin city's Qin Wanzhou didn't have such prestige. Daughter Song Chunhua greets father. Song Chunhua lifted her mask, took off her helmet, and knelt on the ground, kowtowing. Song Shao, who was sitting on the high seat, coldly replied, "Where have you been these few months? Do you need 4 to 5 months to go to Sky Demon City? In a while, go receive 100 whips and then be imprisoned for a month." When these words came out, Yang Dingtian was shocked. This Song Chunhua was his daughter, and his most outstanding child. He actually punished her so harshly. At this moment, Song Shao turned around. Yang Dingtian immediately saw his face. He was very tall, almost 2 meters in Earth's measurement unit. His face was very long, and he could be considered handsome. However, his face was like a stone. His cheeks were like knives, his eyes were sharp, and his nose was straight and curved. There was no expression on his face. At all times, he was strict and solemn. He looked like he would always keep people 1,000 miles away, absolutely cold and emotionless. This kind of person was the most difficult to interact with. Hearing her father's punishment, Song Chunhua was also slightly stunned. She said, "Yes. Who did you bring? Didn't their elders teach them etiquette?" Song Shao said coldly. Yang Dingtian and the rest took off their masks and bowed. Cloud Sky City's mayor Yang Dingtian greets World Society's faction leader Song. Northwest Qin City's Qin Huayu greets World Society's faction leader Song. Black Heaven's sect's Zhu Hongxue greets World Society's faction leader Song. Vulture Palace's Vulture greets World Society's faction leader Song. Hearing these people admit their identities, Song Zhao's gaze froze. His cold and sharp gaze swept across everyone, and finally landed on Yang Dingtian's face. "You're that Yang Dingtian that Shimen Wuya picked up?" Song Shao asked. Yang Dingtian frowned slightly and replied, "That's right. You're wanted by the Tiando League, but you still swaggered into my world society. Who gave you the guts to be so arrogant?" Song Shao said coldly. Yang Dingtian frowned. "Faction leader Song, are you going to admit to the crimes that were planted on me? You've been wronged?" Song Shao asked coldly. "Of course," Yang Dingtian said. "What does this have to do with me?" Song Shao said coldly. "Not only do I not have any relationship with Cloud Sky City, I only have hatred. Are you here to seek redress? There's no need for that. Before I go back on my words, get the hell out of my city. Otherwise, I don't mind a Cloud Sky City lord dying here." Yang Dingtian's eyes narrowed, and a burst of anger surged in his heart. "Father, City Lord Yang Dingtian is my comrade in arms. We've already sworn to live and die together," Song Chunhua said. "Did I agree?" Song Shao said coldly. "Song Chunhua, you have to remember. Everything you have is given to you by me. You will only have it if I give it to you. If I don't give it to you, you have nothing. From today onwards, you don't have to be the great commander of the Devil Dragon army anymore." Immediately, Song Shao took away half of Song Chunhua's most important military power. Yes. Song Chunhua said. However, your daughter begs you to let Yang Dingtian finish what he wants to say. Let him finish what he wants to say in front of me. You think too highly of him. Song Zhao's face revealed absolute coldness and arrogance. This kind of arrogance was something that Yang Dingtian had never experienced from Qin Wanchou. Qin Huayu stepped forward and bowed. Reporting to Sect Master Song, Yang Dingtian, Song Chunhua, Zhu Hongxue, and Vulture have already sworn to be brothers in front of tens of thousands of people. We will advance and retreat together. Please give us a chance to speak. Song Shao looked at Qin Huayu and revealed a cold smile. Yang Dingtian, you are very cunning. You pulled my daughter, Qin Huayu, and Zhu Hongxue in. You tried to make world society and Northwest Qin City stand on your side and join your battle group. What a joke. Do you think it will work? Qin Huayu, you can't even protect yourself. You still want to get involved with Yang Dingtian. You are really seeking your own death. Zhu Hongxue, you will soon feel your father's thunderous anger. Song Shao finally looked at Vulture and didn't express any opinion on her. Get out. Song Shao coldly shouted. I don't want to say it a third time. Song Chunhua stepped forward and said, Father, these few months, Yang Dingtian brought us into a secret realm. Your daughter's cultivation has already broken through to the 2-star Grandmaster level. Currently, there is no one in the world who can match her in the younger generation. This is all thanks to Yang Dingtian. Song Zhao's face suddenly shook. You have already broken through to the 2-star Grandmaster level? Yes, father. Song Chunhua said. Not only that, Yang Dingtian has saved your daughter's life many times and cleansed Naga's Xian veins for your daughter. Currently, your daughter has almost reached the 9th grade Xian veins. Suddenly, Song Zhao's eyes shook. Not only that. Song Chunhua continued. Your daughter has also obtained a heaven-level Xian fire, the heavenly phoenix fire. All of this is thanks to Yang Dingtian. Your daughter is indebted to him. Song Zhao's body shook. He looked at Song Chunhua and said, You have a heaven-level Xian fire? Yes. Song Chunhua said. Not only that, he also gave your daughter a lightning rune. Therefore, every time I use my sword, there will be thunder and lightning. No one can block it. In less than 10 years, there will be no more than 10 people in the world who can match me. The World Association will definitely be stronger and stand firm in the chaotic world. Song Shao was silent for a moment and asked, Yang Dingtian, what are you doing here? Yang Dingtian did not speak. Qin Huayu stepped forward and said, Sect leader Song, your daughter, Song Lihua, is noble and beautiful, virtuous and virtuous. I respect and love her very much. Therefore, I am here to propose marriage to Sect leader Song. Sect leader Song, please allow it. Then, Qin Huayu presented the Qian Kun ring with both hands. For this, I will do anything, including the thing that I do not want to do the most. For the world society, I can kill anyone, Song Shao said indifferently. As long as I don't die, I will definitely follow Yang Dingtian, Song Chunhua said resolutely. Song Shao slowly extended his hand and said indifferently, The few of you, the following is a family matter of the world society. Please do as you wish. He was actually going to make a move. He was going to make a move on his own daughter. Yang Dingtian stepped out and said, Sect leader Song, please wait. I know that anyone will choose to stand on the side of the victor. What if we say we're going to win, that we're going to be the victor? With just you? It's impossible, Song Shao said indifferently. I know that Qin Chichi and Ning Wuming have the almost invincible blood pupil army. There are also 9 masters and 1 great master, Yang Dingtian said indifferently. However, I will still win. Qin Huayu, Song Chunhua, and I are all masters. We also have trump cards that you will not expect, so we will win. You can still stand on the side of the victor. Song Zhao's gaze moved. He then said coldly, Yang Dingtian, it's useless to rely on your mouth. It won't take long for me to prove it to you, Yang Dingtian said. You can even symbolically send an army to suppress Cloud Sky City. Song Chunhua can conceal her identity and fight side by side with me. You just need to give Qin Huayu the name of the engagement and let us rope in sect leader Qin Wanchou. When the war ends and we lose, you can back out of the engagement at any time. If we win, we will immediately announce Song Chunhua's identity. No matter what, you will stand on the side of the victor. In other words, you can wait until the war ends before you officially choose a side. Now, just give us a chance. How about it? Suddenly, Song Zhao's gaze moved. It was obvious that Yang Dingtian's suggestion moved him. This way, he could indeed be in an invincible position. Of course, this way, he might not be able to obtain the 1,000 miles of territory of Cloud Sky City. However, in comparison, an incomparably powerful successor of the world society was perhaps more important. At this moment, the little Princess Vulture suddenly said, in any case, our Vulture Palace was completely on Yang Dingtian's side. Song Zhao glanced at the Vulture Palace. Everyone in the world knew how powerful and mysterious Wulingzi was. In fact, everyone in the world had a concept in their hearts. In this world, if there was a so-called half-saint expert, other than Wu Yu from the Sea of Hades, it would be Wulingzi from the Vulture Palace. This decision was really difficult to make. To be honest, Song Zhao could not imagine that Yang Dingtian had actually broken through to the master level. Song Zhao was very clear about what it meant to break through to the master level at such a young age. If he chose to be enemies with Yang Dingtian this time, and Yang Dingtian happened to not die this time, then, 10 years later, the consequences would be very terrible. Perhaps, it would be the destruction of the world society. Yang Dingtian's posture was completely the posture of the future number one person in the world. Song Zhao knew how terrible it was to offend the future number one person in the world. Moreover, he could not imagine that Yang Dingtian had actually brought along the little princess of the Vulture Palace and Zhu Hongxue. These were the strongest youths in the world with the noblest status. They were actually united with Yang Dingtian as the core. Song Zhao was also very clear about the weight of this. Suddenly, the balance in Song Zhao's heart gradually slid towards Yang Dingtian's side. At this moment, an extremely pleasant voice suddenly came from outside. Wu Maji from the Ning clan of the South Sea is here to pay a visit to sect leader Song of the World Society. Yang Dingtian suddenly trembled. Wu Maji. She actually came. This time, it was the real Wu Maji from the Ning clan of the South Sea, not Qin Ji in disguise. Chapter 433. Wu Maji did not come alone. She was followed by 4 people. These 4 people were wrapped in white robes. Their heads were also wrapped in white cloth, and even their faces were also wrapped in white cloth, revealing only 2 deep eye sockets. These people were very familiar. Back then, the people that Ning Wuming sent to kill Yang Dingtian and Bingling in Sky Devil City were dressed in the same way. These 4 people were the elders of the Ning clan in the South Sea. Yang Dingtian finally saw the real Wu Maji. She was completely different from Qin Ji. Or rather, even their race was different. After coming to the chaotic world, Yang Dingtian saw that most of the people were yellow, but the half-human race was slightly different. But overall, they were basically the same as the Chinese people on Earth. However, Wu Maji was completely different. She had completely different eyes. Her eyes were big and deep, and her pupils were a little brown, a little green, and even a little purple. Qin Ji's eyes were mesmerizing. However, after seeing Wu Maji's eyes, he realized that they were truly mesmerizing. That soul-stirring beauty, that profound mystery. Yang Dingtian felt that these eyes were made up of the most beautiful parts of the eyes of the Arabian and Persian women on Earth, plus the eyes of the Caucasian women on Earth. Moreover, she had a high nose bridge that other women did not have. That kind of beauty brought her extraordinary beauty, and it made her eyes even more mysterious and deep. However, the only parts of her face that could be seen were her eyes and the bridge of her nose. The rest of her face was covered by a veil. Even her head was wrapped in a headscarf. This kind of dressing was similar to that of a woman in the Middle East, and she looked very conservative. But in reality, that was not the case. Because her body, from her waist to her navel, and even her lower abdomen, was naked. She had a slim waist like a snake, and her skin was the color of honey. She was full of exotic charm and incomparable allure. The combination of strength and weakness, the combination of sex appeal and mystery, had an incomparable impact on men. The lower half of her body was wearing brocade trousers. From the waist to the thighs, it was tight and clingy, and below the knees, it was loose like a skirt. Complicated and mysterious carvings were embroidered on his trousers using gold and silk. The bodice was decorated with beautiful and luxurious gems. This woman really had a devilish figure and devilish seduction. Among all the women that Yang Dingtian had met, she was the most exotic and mysterious. This kind of extreme temptation was the most alluring. After entering the hall, Wu Maji did not even spare a glance at Yang Dingtian and the others. As for Song Xiao, he was also dazzled by her dazzling and mysterious light, his eyes instantly blurred. It could be said that he had seen countless people and had seen all kinds of beautiful women. However, when he saw Wu Maji, he felt as if his eyes were being pierced and his heart was being squeezed. Southern Sea's Ning clan, Wu Maji, greets world meets sovereign song. She bowed slightly, the curves of her back and buttocks were breathtaking. Madam Wu, what's the matter? Song Xiao asked. I heard that Miss Song Lihua is beautiful and generous. I represent the Ning clan's young master to propose marriage to Miss Song Lihua, Wu Maji said straightforwardly. Yang Dingtian and the others were stunned. This Ning Wuming was too shameless. He had already married Qin Chichi, and now he wanted to propose marriage to Song Lihua. Of course, Yang Dingtian was not much better on this point. He had already married Yan Yan, but he still wanted to marry Qin Chichi. However, Song Xiao was extremely arrogant. Wu Maji's words instantly hurt him. He said coldly, the women of my world meet are not so cheap. Wu Maji said, if it can be done, when we attack Cloud Sky City in the future, the 1,000 miles of land will not only belong to the world meet. My Ning clan's Yin Chaos demonic turbidity will also belong to the world meet. We will use Yan Yan's life to threaten Yang Dingtian to hand over the Yin Yang reincarnation crystal and then hand it over to the world meet. This way, the world meet will have the celestial qi condensation purification array. When she said this, Song Xiao's breathing stopped. Obviously, this was an extremely huge temptation. Not only that, Miss Ning Bai of the Ning clan of the South Sea will agree to marry young Master Song Minghua. Also, we are willing to help young Master Song Minghua break through to the master stage in the shortest time possible. Wu Maji continued. Also, we heard that Sect Master Song Xiao has been stuck at the 9-star level 9 master stage. He is only half a step away from the Grandmaster stage, but he is still unable to break through. We are willing to guarantee that as long as you agree to the marriage, we will help you break through to the Grandmaster stage within half a year. Wu Maji concluded. After she finished speaking, she fell into silence. She was not a good negotiator because she did not know how to bargain. She directly gave out the biggest and most shocking price. However, she was a domineering negotiator, and no one could resist her at all. Even immortals would be tempted by this condition, let alone mortals. The celestial qi condensation array, Song Minghua breaking through to the master stage, and Song Xiao breaking through to the Grandmaster stage. This condition completely suppressed Yang Dingtian's condition. The most Yang Dingtian could give was to cooperate with the World Society to build a celestial qi condensation array and an interspatial ring. The interspatial ring was very powerful, but it was nothing compared to breaking through to the Grandmaster stage. What made Yang Dingtian even more speechless was that Wu Maji repeatedly said that she would destroy Cloud Sky City in front of Yang Dingtian. She even said that she would use Yan Yan's life to threaten Yang Dingtian to hand over the Yin Yang reincarnation crystal. It was as if Yang Dingtian did not exist, or she did not even know Yang Dingtian. Song Xiao's body trembled. His eyes shone with a shocking light and even his breathing became rapid. Soon, he gradually calmed himself down. Then, he looked at Yang Dingtian. He was no longer as cold as before. Instead, he became gentle. "Nephew, let me think about what you said, okay?" Song Xiao said warmly. Yang Dingtian knew in his heart that today was just a simple negotiation, and the situation was already lost. "Father," Song Chunhua shouted loudly. "All right, Chunhua, stay here. Your mother has something to say to you." Song Xiao said, "Men, send these guests to the hotel to rest." "Yes." A voice came from outside. Then, a middle-aged man came in and said to Yang Dingtian, "This way please." Zhu Hongxue was unwilling. He felt that his identity as a genius was being ignored here. He immediately said, "Uncle Master Song, you should think about everything carefully before making a decision." Suddenly, Song Xiao's eyes turned cold, but he said with a smile, "When you become the Black Heaven sect leader, it won't be too late to talk to me like this." Wu Maji, on the other hand, completely ignored Zhu Hongxue, who was a genius. Suddenly, she said calmly, "Young Master Zhu, your father just visited the Ning clan a few days ago." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat. Zhu Hongxue was stunned. He did not know why his father, as the Black Heaven sect leader, went to the Ning clan in the South Sea. He was about to retort with a cold smile, saying that the Ning clan in the South Sea was nothing. Yang Dingtian grabbed his arm and said, "All right, let's go back first." Then, Yang Dingtian led everyone out of the main hall. Song Chunhua also wanted to follow. "Chunhua, you haven't been home for half a year. Shouldn't you pay your mother a visit?" Song Xiao said coldly. Song Chunhua immediately fell into a dilemma. Come find us later." Yang Dingtian said, "By the way, we'll wait for you for dinner." Song Chunhua nodded. Yang Dingtian's meaning was clear. She must find Yang Dingtian before dinner. Then, the middle-aged man led Yang Dingtian and the others out of the main hall and down the stairs. The highest-level hotel was on the 8th floor. However, the middle-aged man did not stop on the 8th floor. He did not stop on the 7th floor either. As they walked down, Zhu Hongxue was about to explode in anger. When had he ever been treated like this? As the young master of the Black Sky sect, no matter where he went, the leaders of the sects would give their houses to Zhu Hongxue to show their respect, let alone the highest-level hotel. In the end, the middle-aged man led Yang Dingtian to the first floor of Ba City. That's right, it was the first floor, the lowest level. The people who lived here were the low-level strongmen and servants of the world society. Therefore, it was noisy and filled with the smell of animal feces. This was completely going too far, and it was even a naked humiliation. Zhu Hongxue's face was cold. He did not say a word and was about to leave. Yang Dingtian grabbed him and said, "What are you doing? I'm not serving you anymore." "You can tolerate it, but I can't," Zhu Hongxue said. "If you can't even tolerate this now, how can you hold your head high in the future? Do you know how powerful the Ning clan in the South Sea is? Do you know how many people want to sell themselves to them? Do you know how powerful our enemy is? Are you going to give up before the battle has even started?" Yang Dingtian said. Instantly, Zhu Hongxue fell silent. His expression was still ugly, but he did not say that he was leaving. At this time, it could be seen that although the little Princess Vulture was naive and playful, she was very smart. She did not say a word. Although she was dissatisfied, it was as if nothing had happened. The middle-aged man led Yang Dingtian and the others to a so-called hotel. Yang Dingtian and the others dared to walk in, but they were almost pushed back by the smell of sweat inside. Inside, there were over 100 rough men and strong men eating. The food they were eating was all very crude and crude. These people were all laborers in Ba City, so they were arranged to stay in the lowest level of the so-called hotel. Therefore, everyone's clothes were ragged and they stank of sweat. Yang Dingtian was fine, but the little princess could not stand it at all. She retched and was almost about to vomit. Yang Dingtian quickly stuffed a pill into the little girl's mouth. The little girl hurriedly took it and put it under her nose. When they saw Yang Dingtian and the others, the laborers were stunned. How could such a luxuriously dressed person stay in such a noble place? The middle-aged man said to the head of the hotel, "Pick the best room and invite a few distinguished guests." "Yes, sir." Then, the head of the hotel brought Yang Dingtian to the so-called best room. 5 people to a room, and there was only one large bed. The bedding on it was emitting a rotten smell. The tables, stools, and beds were all glossy and shiny. They had been soaked in sweat and oil for many years. The head of the hotel nodded and bowed as he left. "Wait," Yang Dingtian said. The head of the hotel trembled. Of course, he knew that these people were distinguished people that he could not afford to offend. However, if the higher-ups wanted to humiliate them, he could not do anything about it. Yang Dingtian took out a gold coin and said, "You've worked hard." The head of the hotel was stunned. A gold coin was half a year's salary. Immediately, he knelt on the ground and kowtowed without saying anything. Then, he left respectfully. Song Shao is humiliating us like this because he wants us to leave in a fit of anger. He wants us to give up. Yang Dingtian said, he has already made up his mind. He is very tempted by Wu Maji's suggestion. However, he is not willing to admit that he is a greedy person. "Yes." Qin Huayu nodded. "Then what should we do? Do we just stay here and let him humiliate us?" Zhu Hongxiu asked. "Of course not," Yang Dingtian said calmly, "it's good to stay here. There are crooks mixed in with the honest folk, and there is freedom." Yang Dingtian summoned the million-spirit demonic fire, which turned into countless resentful spirits and flew out. This way, he would know if there was any movement within a few miles. He was not afraid that someone would eavesdrop. "We have already lost the negotiation with Song Shao. We can't give more than Wu Maji," Yang Dingtian said, "however, it is impossible to give up. Therefore, we have to find another way. Next, we will take 2 steps. First, I will go invisible and find Song Lihua later. I will explain to her that she will agree to marry Qin Huayu. It will be best if we can do it in the shortest time possible," Yang Dingtian said. "Ah, Yang Dingtian, you are despicable." Little Princess Vulture could not help but say. Then, she stuck out her tongue and said, "All right, as long as you don't do that to me." Yang Dingtian glared at her. This little girl was being impudent when Song Chunhua was not here. Qin Huayu's face turned red, but he said seriously, "As long as Miss Song Lihua is willing, I am willing to love and protect her for the rest of my life." "All right." Yang Dingtian said, "If Song Lihua's attitude is very positive, then we will proceed to the second step. We will force Song Shao to take a stand so that he has no choice." "How do we force him to take a stand?" Zhu Hongxiu said, "The 5 of us together should not be a match for Song Shao alone. In for a penny, in for a pound. Song Chunhua will lead us to kill Wu Maji and everyone she brought. Of course, we will not kill all of them. Leave one to report to the Ning clan," Yang Dingtian said. As soon as these words came out, everyone was suddenly shocked. Kill Wu Maji. Kill Wu Maji in front of Song Shao in the world gathering. Even Qin Huayu could not help but look at him. Yang Dingtian was always so ruthless and decisive when he encountered something major. If it was really like what Yang Dingtian said and Song Chunhua brought people to kill Wu Maji, then Song Zhao's escape route would be severed. He would have no other choice but to stand on Yang Dingtian's side. "Do you agree with this 2-step plan?" Yang Dingtian asked. Qin Huayu said, "When the time comes, the consequences may be very serious. We have to cut off all means of retreat. At this time, we can only see who is more decisive," Yang Dingtian said. "In just a few years, you broke through to revered martial artist. You're amazing, but that's all. I broke through to revered martial artist from profound martial artist in 3 months. Alright, I'll take my leave. Song Minghua pointed at his eyes and said, don't act blindly without thinking. Don't take a step out of the room. I'll keep an eye on you. Zhu Hongshue's lungs were about to explode. Why is he so arrogant? Why? Zhu Hongxue said sternly. Because he's about to become the son-in-law of the Ning clan. He'll become the lackey of the nefarious demon crown prince, Yang Dingtian said. Little Princess Vulture's beautiful eyes turned and said, Yang Dingtian, do you want to kill Song Minghua? This way, Song Xiao will have no choice but to let Sister Chunhua inherit the world society. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, I'll think about it. Qin Huayu was stunned. He thought that Yang Dingtian would refute him directly. He didn't expect Yang Dingtian to seriously say that he would think about it. Let's not kill him for now. The gains won't make up for the losses, Yang Dingtian said. At this moment, Zhu Hongxue suddenly asked, Yang Dingtian, did my father really go to the Ning clan of the South Sea? Zhu Hongshue's attitude was very serious. There was even an inexplicable fear and trembling in his eyes. Yang Dingtian immediately fell into hesitation. He didn't know if he should tell him the truth. This person was too sensitive, too fragile, too proud and conceited. He had already broken down once. Yang Dingtian didn't want him to break down a second time. Zhu Hongxue, I'll tell you two things. Yang Dingtian said, first, your pride should come from your will, talent, character, and heart. Not because of your identity, and definitely not because of your father. No matter what your father or your identity changes, it can't break your pride. Second, I won't say anything about your father. I want you to see with your own eyes and judge with your own heart. After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Zhu Hongxue suddenly trembled and his eyes became hot. Yang Dingtian's first sentence really went straight to his heart and directly shook his heart. There were some things that he didn't even know, but Yang Dingtian said it directly. It made his heart suddenly light up as if he had become strong. This feeling of instant confidence was too good. Then, Yang Dingtian said, let me say the third thing. As long as you don't betray us, we will never betray you. When you need us, even if the whole world betrays you, we are willing to give up everything for you, even our lives. Instantly, Zhu Hongshue's eyes turned red, his breathing became rough, and his whole body trembled slightly. Alright, time is of the essence, I won't be emotional. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, now there are Song Lihua's soldiers outside. We don't want to act rashly and alert the enemy. You guys stay inside and don't move. I will go invisible and find Song Lihua and try to persuade her. Then, Yang Dingtian directly used the mystic invisibility skill and left the room. After he left, little Princess Vulture suddenly said, wow, I feel that Yang Dingtian's brainwashing skills are very powerful. Unknowingly, I lost my position and actually followed him. Although this was too direct, it was still acceptable. The little girl's next words made Yang Dingtian unable to accept it. Sigh, luckily Yang Dingtian only knows how to brainwash people to gain faith and not to gain sex. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if I lose my position, but if I lose my chastity, I will be finished. Yang Dingtian, who had not gone far, decided that he must not let Song Chunhua be too far away from the little girl in the future. This little girl, he must not leave her alone or not hit her. Song Lihua was the one and only princess of the world, the apple of Song Zhao's eye, and his most beloved child. Originally, only Song Xiao and his wife were allowed to live on the 9th floor of Ba City. Even Song Chunhua could only live on the 8th floor. And Song Lihua, the #1 beauty in the north, was the only daughter who lived on the 9th floor. At this moment, she was in a beautiful small building, supporting her chin, looking at the distant scenery and sighing softly. Then, she walked to the table, picked up a brush, dipped it in ink and started to draw. Suddenly, a shadow moved in front of her. Who? Song Lihua cried out, then she held the brush in her hand tightly and pressed it against her chest. Chapter 434. Cloud Sky City City Lord, Yang Dingtian, greets Miss Song Lihua. Yang Dingtian directly appeared and bowed to her in the safest way possible. He must not let her feel threatened at all. "Oh, it's you." Song Lihua's face was pale, but the fear and vigilance in her beautiful eyes relaxed. It was as if she had heard of Yang Dingtian before. Song Lihua was very beautiful, and she was a very typical Oriental beauty. She should be very similar to Qin Yuanyuan and Shishi's type. Delicate, charming, and beautiful, it filled people with an endless desire to protect her. Any man with great power would want nothing more than to snatch her into their own room and pamper her endlessly. She and Song Chunhua were both women, but she seemed to have used up all the charm of the Song family's daughter. However, Yang Dingtian only took a glance at her peerless peach blossom face before he looked towards the ground. This was because a man directly appearing in a girl's room already gave her a huge sense of danger. "Is there something you need?" Song Lihua asked. She did not question Yang Dingtian's rude intrusion. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and said, "First, I want to make it clear that no matter how nice my words sound, they are actually offensive to Mississippi, yes." Song Lihua nodded. "Miss should have heard that Qin Huayu and I are here to propose to Mississippi," Yang Dingtian said, "and Wu Maji of the South Seas Ning clan is also proposing to Miss on behalf of Ning Wuming. I rudely barged into Mrs. room just to win Mrs. favor and make your heart more biased towards Qin Huayu. Compared to the South Seas Ning clan, you have already won some of my favor," Song Lihua said. Yang Dingtian was stunned and expressed that he did not understand. "Because City Lord Yang specially came in front of me to win my favor. This in itself is a form of respect for me. Unlike others, who only fight for my father's will and do not care about my thoughts," Song Lihua said. "Miss, you're so pure and innocent," Yang Dingtian said. "City Lord Yang, can I ask you a few questions?" Song Lihua asked. "Miss, please speak," Yang Dingtian said. "Is my marriage to Qin Huayu very important to you?" Song Lihua asked. "Very important." Yang Dingtian said, "We are in a very, very weak position. Our enemy is extremely powerful, probably hundreds of times stronger than us. I dragged Qin Huayu down with me, I dragged your sister Song Chunhua down with me, and now I've dragged Zhu Hongxue down with me. The reason why I want Qin Huayu to marry Miss is because I want to drag the world society and your father into the water and make him stand on our side. After that, he would be able to influence the Northwest Qin city lord, Qin Wanchou. This is the only way the Western continent will not fall. Will you guys win?" Song Lihua asked. "I don't know. We might win a battle, but we can only buy time. Unless we have a few transcendental grandmasters or even sage experts, it will be very difficult for us to win the war." Yang Dingtian said, "Everything I'm doing now is to do my best to prevent the Western continent from falling before the Armageddon army arrives." "Are they the evil ways?" Song Lihua asked. "Yes." Yang Dingtian said. "How powerful are they?" Song Lihua asked. Dongfang Bingling demonized into the princess of the evil ways. Her cultivation instantly soared to the level of a grandmaster. The nefarious crown Prince Li Ming had effortlessly subdued Ling Qingchen, a martial grandmaster. The hidden sex master, Nihility Piao Ling, became the devil queen. The Black Heaven sex master, Zhu Qingzhu, has already betrayed us. The demon king Wentian is about to be resurrected. The day of his resurrection will be the day of the invasion of tens of millions of demons. Yang Dingtian said, "On my side, there are only me, Qin Huayu, Song Chunhua, Zhu Hongxue, and Vulture. Your father and Qin Wanchou are sitting on the fence, or have already decided to surrender. What a disparity in power." Song Lihua said, "I really don't see any hope of winning. But if you're here to persuade me, why are you telling me the truth? Aren't you afraid that I'll shrink back in fear when the situation is so bleak?" Yang Dingtian fell into silence and said, "Perhaps, I am also waiting for you to shrink back and be afraid." "Why?" Song Lihua was shocked. "To win, the left side of my brain wants me to do whatever it takes. But the right side of my brain doesn't want to hurt the innocent people in front of you. Yang Dingtian said, if you choose us, it might mean a terrible end. Do you guys represent justice? Song Lihua asked. Yes, without a doubt, we represent justice. Yang Dingtian said, but no, justice is more important than family. City Lord Yang Dingtian, you're different from what I thought. Song Lihua said, when you married Qin Jiaojiao, I thought you were a typical big shot. You thought about problems from a high point of view, only talking about the pros and cons, and your rationality was greater than your emotions. I want to be that kind of person, but it's hard to do. Yang Dingtian said, to be honest, if it wasn't for my weakness in certain aspects, Dongfang Bingling wouldn't have become the evil princess. She asked me to kill her, but I couldn't do it. So, evil ways have an incomparably powerful force. Song Lihua said, then I'll ask the second question. Miss, please ask. Yang Dingtian said. I heard that Qin Huayu has a dishonorable past when it comes to relationships. Song Lihua said, what's the relationship between the woman beside him, Ning Ro? A few years ago, he was young and successful. He thought that he was ruthless, cold, and conceited. So, he raped Ning Ro and brought her incomparably great harm. Yang Dingtian said. Ah! Song Lihua exclaimed, her little hands clenched tightly together. It was obvious that Qin Huayu's rape of Ning Ro had frightened her. Yang Dingtian continued, but people usually don't understand themselves. Qin Huayu thought that he was cold and ruthless, but in reality, he wasn't. This matter directly tore apart the fake coldness in his heart, causing him to become weaker and weaker in terms of emotions, more and more inferior. Even though he later brought Ning Ro over, he could never raise his head in front of Ning Ro. He felt that he wasn't worthy of her at all, or even any good woman. So, they were in a very tangled relationship, even though they had a very cute daughter. But Ning Ro wasn't willing to marry, so Qin Huayu didn't dare to marry her. Following that, Yang Dingtian said, but I can guarantee that all these years, Qin Huayu only had Ning Ro as his woman. In terms of pure feelings, he was much better than me. On the contrary, I was overflowing with fickleness and even had a trace of hypocrisy. Song Lihua said, then, I want to ask the third question, which is also the last question. Yang Dingtian nodded and said, Miss, please ask. Song Lihua said, if I marry Qin Huayu, what kind of life will I live? Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, this question is really difficult for me to answer. Because what Qin Huayu will probably face next is battle, battle, and battle. It's even possible that he won't even be able to return to Qin City. Even if you marry over, you might have to live in Cloud Sky City instead. Of course, that's if Cloud Sky City doesn't fall. If Cloud Sky City falls, then you might become homeless. Of course, if the situation isn't so bad, you should still spend most of your time writing and drawing. Qin Huayu probably won't have much time to accompany you, but he should release his infinite love for you from the bottom of his heart. He feels that he's not good enough for you. If you marry him, you should feel like you picked him up and brought him home. However, you can continue to create as you wish. Qin Huayu will devote himself wholeheartedly to appreciate your talent. Okay, I'm done with my questions, Song Lihua said. Following that, Song Lihua's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of mischief. She said, oh right, can I ask another question? I'm just curious. You don't have to answer. Okay. Yang Dingtian said. If I agree, what do you plan to do next? How do you plan to persuade my father? Song Lihua said. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian fell into hesitation. If he told Song Lihua the truth and she reported it to Song Shao, Yang Dingtian would be in trouble. However, if he didn't say it, Song Lihua was the kind of person who was the most sensitive and had the highest need for sincerity. If he lied to her, the consequences would be very serious. If Miss agrees, we'll make it look like the rice has been cooked. Then, we'll let Song Chunhua take the lead to kill Wu Maji, so that your father has no way out, Yang Dingtian said. Ah! Song Lihua exclaimed, looking at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. Then, she smiled. City Lord Yang, you're really not a qualified leader. You shouldn't tell me this kind of top secret. If I'm even a little untrustworthy, the consequences will be too serious. Yes, you think so too now, Yang Dingtian said. Then, Yang Dingtian said, then I'll take my leave first. Miss, think about it carefully. No need, I agree. I'm willing to marry Qin Huayu, Song Lihua said. So fast? Yang Dingtian said, no matter what noble reason you use, as long as you decide a girl's lifelong happiness because of benefits, it's not a noble thing in itself. From the beginning to the end, you didn't use nobility and justice to suppress me, Song Lihua said. Maybe that's just a more cunning method of mine. Yang Dingtian said, Miss, why did you agree so quickly? Song Chunhua is an extremely proud, noble, and righteous person. Song Lihua said, I often laugh at her for being silly, but I admire her the most. Of all the people in the family, I love her the most. She's so loyal to you and follows you so wholeheartedly, which surprised me. It also made me curious about you. That's why I asked you 3 questions. I want to understand you, I want to understand you. And the result? Yang Dingtian asked. The result is that I envy you. Song Lihua said, even though you don't talk about justice and nobility, you're an expert for justice. This kind of loneliness makes me admire you very much. I really want to join you and become an amazing person. But, this is related to your marriage. Yang Dingtian said, without feelings, you'll never be happy. Song Lihua's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. City Lord Yang, I'll ask you another question. Between you and Qin Huayu, who will I fall in love with? Yang Dingtian's face immediately turned red. He waved his hand and said, I'm not qualified to answer this question right now. Song Lihua laughed and said, as a leader, I admire you very much. You're not only noble and righteous, but you're also flesh and blood, not cold and heartless. But as a man, I really don't admire your type. You're fickle in love, you seem to be single-minded, but you're actually overflowing with ambiguity. I really don't like these. Men are either overbearing and openly fickle in love, or they're single-minded and deeply devoted. I really don't like men like you. I like men with scars like Qin Huayu. Song Lihua hit the nail on the head, making Yang Dingtian feel a little embarrassed. As if she wasn't satisfied, Song Lihua continued, actually, if you just choose a man, even if Zhu Hongxue is conceited and naive, he's much better than you in terms of feelings. With that, Song Lihua let out a long breath and said, all right, thank you for letting me say these words. At that time, I heard that you married Shimin Yan, married Qin Jiao, and then ran off to be with Dongfang Bingling. I was really angry and even thought of writing a letter to scold you. With that, Song Lihua stuck out her tongue and said, I'm sorry, but I'm just a person who likes to take things seriously and go down a dead end. Yang Dingtian couldn't help but say, you and your sister are actually the same kind of people. You're both stubborn and persistent, but the direction is different. Alright, you can go back. Song Lihua said, I'll think of a way to see you guys and Qin Huayu now. I'll make it look like what's done is done. Yang Dingtian was stunned again. He realized that he really didn't understand women. Then I'll go and ask Qin Huayu to wait. Yang Dingtian. Then, he used his invisibility mystic skill and left. Soon, Yang Dingtian appeared in front of Qin Huayu, Zhu Hongxue, and the others. Zhu Hongxue didn't look too concerned, but Qin Huayu's face was filled with nervousness and uneasiness. Little Princess Vulture directly grabbed Yang Dingtian's arm and said, how was it? How was it? What was her attitude? Did she agree? Instantly, Qin Huayu's lips began to tremble. Indeed, he had fallen into an absolute inferiority complex when it came to relationships. She agreed. Yang Dingtian said. Really? Little Princess Vulture said. Qin Huayu's body suddenly shook, and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Yang Dingtian, could it be that she took a fancy to you, and then made a huge sacrifice to agree to marry Qin Huayu? Little Princess Vulture said. Instantly, Qin Huayu's face turned pale. The little girl also seemed to know that she had said something wrong, and immediately slapped her mouth in regret. Yang Dingtian said with a wry smile, "Today is probably the most embarrassing day of my life. I'm completely ashamed by Miss Song Lihua's words." Then, Yang Dingtian stepped forward and patted Qin Huayu's shoulder, saying, "Senior brother Qin, you'll know in a while. You're on your own now. This girl, I guarantee you'll be eaten by her. She's too powerful." Qin Huayu's face immediately regained its color, and then he became even more embarrassed, saying, I am actually not worthy of her. If it wasn't because I needed her, I really wouldn't dare to do anything to her." Then, Qin Huayu said, "How about we just marry in name? I guarantee that I won't dare to violate her in any way." Yang Dingtian said, "That, you have the final say. However, I suspect that you don't have the final say. Prepare well, she's coming to see you soon, and she said that she wants to cook the rice." Instantly, Qin Huayu's face turned red, like a cooked shrimp, and he fell into absolute unease. Song Lihua's arrival was faster than expected. When she came to the hotel, she was wearing a cloak and a veil. But when she walked in, she lifted the veil and took off the cloak. Her graceful curves and beautiful face were completely exposed in front of everyone. Yang Dingtian, you're not handsome and have no inner qualities. This is a sin. The little Princess Vulture continued. Zhu Hongxue frowned and turned his face away. Yang Dingtian pretended that he didn't hear anything. "Ah, am I talking about myself?" The little Princess Vulture said uneasily, "I'm not as pretty as Song Lihua and I'm not gentle or charming. I can't learn Qin Xiaojiao's big breasts and brainless unruliness, and I'm not as cute as Big Grandma Shimen. As a woman, am I hopeless? Am I really hopeless?" Yang Dingtian and Zhu Hongxue looked at each other and resisted the urge to sew the little girl's mouth shut. No, the little Princess Vulture muttered to herself again, "Yang Dingtian has no inner qualities and is not handsome. His position among men is even worse than my position among women. But he has so many beautiful women who like him. I'm definitely better than him." Soon, the little girl found a way to comfort herself. Yang Dingtian couldn't take it anymore and wanted to pinch her little mouth. Right at this moment, there was a sudden burst of angry footsteps from outside. Then, Song Minghua rushed in and pointed at Yang Dingtian's nose angrily, "Where did you take my sister? Yang Dingtian, please put your finger down. Yang Dingtian, if you dare to do anything to my sister, I won't let you off the hook. I guarantee that you won't leave the World Club alive," Song Minghua said. Then, he rushed over and kicked the door open. The door opened before it was kicked open. Song Lihua opened the door. She tidied up her clothes, tidied up her messy hair, and gently wiped the rouge at the corner of her mouth. "Second brother, what's wrong?" This woman was really a top-notch actress. She didn't do anything inside. Her performance at this moment made people believe that she had done everything. What did you do?" Song Minghua asked in disbelief. "It's just as you think," Song Lihua said. "Bitch, you bitch." Song Minghua slapped her. Song Lihua raised her chin and let Song Minghua slap her. At this moment, Qin Huayu rushed over and kicked at Song Minghua. Song Minghua miserably dodged Qin Huayu's foot. His entire body trembled as he pointed at Song Lihua and said, "You slut, you've caused a disaster. You'll destroy our world society. You bitch, you shameless bitch, come back with me. I'll make father throw you into the river and drown you alive." "You don't have to say that." Song Lihua said, "I'll go see father now and tell him that Qin Huayu and I have already pledged our lives to each other. Please let us be together." With that, Song Lihua walked out of the room. Song Minghua was startled as he didn't expect Song Lihua's attitude to be so aggressive. He then looked at Yang Dingtian with resentment and said coldly, "Just you wait. I will make sure that you won't be able to walk out of the world society alive." Yang Dingtian ignored him. "Let's go." Song Minghua left in anger. When they left, Yang Dingtian said with a serious expression, "Get ready to kill Wu Maji immediately. Time is of the essence. Hurry, hurry." Chapter 435. Yang Dingtian, are we just going to let Song Lihua face Song Shao alone? Qin Huayu asked worriedly. Yang Dingtian nodded, "We have to let her hold Song Shao back. Otherwise, once he arrives, we won't be able to defeat him even if we work together. We won't be able to kill Wu Maji and the rest." Then, Yang Dingtian patted his shoulder, "Don't worry, this lady is much more powerful than we thought." After a while, the window at the back of the room was opened and a petite girl came in. She had a pretty face, but she purposely covered her face with dust and dressed as a servant. She placed a few bags of clothes on the table and said, "I am third Mrs. Personal Servant. These are the clothes of the World Society's Demon Dragon Guards, change into them. First Miss will be waiting for you at the Zhu Pavilion." Third Miss was Song Lihua. After receiving the clothes, Yang Dingtian and the others quickly changed into them. Zhu Hongxue frowned, but still changed into the clothes. Little Princess Vulture pouted and changed into the clothes as well. The Demon Dragon Guards were trained by Song Chunhua. They were the most elite armed force in the entire world society and also the warriors with the highest status in the society. Their warrior suits were completely covered in black armor. Even their faces were no exception. Then, the little girl shushed them softly. Then, 3 men came in from outside. Without saying a word, they put on the clothes that Yang Dingtian and the rest changed out of. As for the little girl, she had changed into a vulture's outer skirt. Third Miss asked us to pretend to be the 4 of you and wait here. The little girl said, just in case, she was afraid that someone would come into the room to check. "But, you don't look like us." Little Princess Vulture said, then her gaze fell on the little girl's chest. The little girl was young, but her chest was not small at all. On the contrary, it was very fierce. Vulture was very jealous because she was a fake. Song Lihua's servant girl shrank back slightly from Vulture's stare. Then she said, "Don't worry, there will be an army coming to arrest you on the orders of the sect master. This army is actually young Miss Men. Then, we will be taken to a secret place and locked up. This way, there won't be any flaws." Yang Dingtian clicked his tongue. This Song Lihua was really flawless. Immediately, Yang Dingtian said to Qin Huayu, "Now you know how powerful your future wife is." Qin Huayu nodded vigorously. Yang Dingtian and the other 3 donned the armor of the Demon Dragon Martial Guard and jumped out of the house through the window. Sure enough, not long after Yang Dingtian left the hotel, a cavalry rushed down and entered the hotel to capture him. Not long after, the 4 people who impersonated Yang Dingtian were covered and escorted out of the city. Then, a person who was also wearing the armor of the Demon Dragon Martial Guard came forward and whispered to Yang Dingtian, "Follow me, young miss is waiting for you." "Who are you?" Yang Dingtian asked. "I am the direct descendant of the great commander." That person said, "Young miss asked me to tell you 4 words, Dark Ice Spirit. Then you will trust me. Lead the way." Yang Dingtian said directly. "Yes." That person said. Then, he mounted his horse and galloped towards the upper level of the city. Every level of the city was guarded by a city gate guard. The Mo Long Martial Guard who was leading the way flashed a token and passed through the checkpoint without any obstructions. Soon, Yang Dingtian and the others arrived at the 8th level. They arrived at Zhuge. Zhuge sounded like a gentle place, but it was actually Song Chunhua's residence. Although it was all red, it did not look like a boudoir at all. Instead, it was filled with sternness and might. At this time, Song Chunhua was not wearing her martial attire. She was wearing a more neutral brocade robe. Her long hair was tied up with a jade hairpin. She was still dressed like a man. However, it was already filled with a strange sense of beauty. At this time, she was supporting a beautiful middle-aged woman and talking to her. This beautiful woman should be Song Zhao's wife. After Yang Dingtian and the others entered Zhu Gu, they did not act rashly. Instead, they stood to the side. Song Chunhua quickly gave them a look and continued to talk to Madame Song. Anan, you're the one I'm most worried about. Madame Song said with concern, what's wrong with a woman fighting and killing? Marriage is the most important thing for a woman. A few years ago, there were people who came to propose marriage to you, but they were all rejected by you. Now, no one dares to come. When you go home this time, don't worry about those things. I will let Danan dress you up properly. During this time, there will be many outstanding young people who will come to look for you. In short, if your marriage is not settled, don't even think about going out. Song Chunhua was more or less embarrassed when Yang Dingtian saw this scene. However, she could not refute and could only respond in silence. Ah, Danan is too feminine. She seduces men wherever she goes. It would be great if she gave half to you. Madame Song said. When Yang Dingtian heard this, he almost could not help but nod in agreement. At this time, a little girl in a tight outfit walked over and whispered in Song Chunhua's ear, Miss, third miss was taken to the ancestral spring by the sect master. He also sent Song Minghua to bring experts to capture City Lord Yang and the others. Yes, I know. Song Chunhua said. Then, she softly shouted, Men, line up. Instantly, a group of demon dragon guards rushed in and lined up neatly. They directly drowned Yang Dingtian and the others in the middle. Madame Song was shocked and said, Danan, what are you doing? Mother, rest well here, Song Chunhua said. Then, she gently waved her hand in front of her mother's face. Madame Song's face was full of shock and she immediately fainted. Help my mother to the bed. Song Chunhua said to the servant in tight outfit. Yes. The servant carried Madame Song back to the room. Song Chunhua took the treasured sword and suddenly pulled it out, saying, under the orders of the sect master, we are to exterminate evil ways. Yes. Over 100 demon dragon guards shouted. Then, like a dark sword, they quickly rushed to the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion in the western corner. The Phoenix Ritual Pavilion was the World Society's VIP pavilion. Only the most distinguished guests would be arranged to stay in the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion. At this time, the entire Phoenix Ritual Pavilion was guarded by the guards brought by Wu Maji. These warriors were all very unique. Almost all of them wore strange armor and had headscarves on their heads. Their skin color and eyes were all foreign races. Wu Maji could be considered to be very domineering after she moved into the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion. When she moved into the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion, she immediately chased out the people from the World Society and used her own people from the inside to the outside. This time, other than the 4 elder-level experts, she also brought several hundred martial warriors to visit the World Society. Seeing Song Chunhua appear, the Ning clan warriors outside the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion coldly said, This is the Ning clan's encampment in the South Sea. Unrelated people, leave immediately. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. Song Chunhua looked down and found 3 corpses at the door. They were actually the World Society's servants. They were holding various kinds of fruits, which were now broken into pieces on the ground. Song Chunhua was instantly enraged. The Ning clan was actually so domineering. These 3 servants were sent by Madame Song to deliver fresh fruits to Wu Maji. Madame Song was a typical woman. When she heard that Wu Maji brought her own food and necessities after moving into the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion, she immediately felt embarrassed. She felt that it was against her hospitality, so she sent people to deliver fruits unique to the World Society. However, she did not expect that these 3 servants would be killed at the door. Beast! Song Chunhua said coldly and walked over. The Ning clan guards at the door drew their scimitars and attacked Song Chunhua without any explanation. Song Chunhua slashed down with her sword. Swoosh! The leading Ning clan warrior was instantly split in half. Good and evil cannot coexist. Under the orders of the sect master, we are to exterminate evil ways. Song Chunhua ordered coldly, kill everyone inside. Don't leave a single person, chicken, or dog alive. Yes. Hundreds of demon dragon guards drew their giant swords and charged at the Ning clan warriors. Song Chunhua took the lead, and Yang Dingtian and the others followed closely behind. Swoosh 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 swoosh. Yang Dingtian's sword was as fast as lightning, stabbing at the Ning clan warriors. The sword he stabbed looked light and graceful. The bodies of those who were pierced would explode into two halves, and all of them died without a complete corpse. How shocking was the attack of three Grandmaster stage powerhouses! It was like slaughtering pigs and dogs. In just a moment, nearly half of the Ning clan warriors were killed. However, the one who killed the most was not Yang Dingtian or Song Chunhua, but Zhu Hongxue. Zhu Hongxue was a proud and conceited god's favored son. He had been suppressing his anger for a long time, and now was the perfect time to vent it. He was really like a tiger in a flock of sheep. Wherever he passed, not to mention dying without a complete corpse, all were smashed into pieces. But strangely, Wu Maji, who lived in the Phoenix Ritual Pavilion, did not react at all when Song Chunhua went on a killing spree. And these Ning clan warriors were really not afraid of death. They actually rushed forward one after another. However, their bravery was useless. Yang Dingtian's group of 5 was truly too incisive. In just a few minutes, all of the Ning clan's martial artists had been wiped out. Suddenly, the entire Phoenix Ritual Pavilion was covered in blood. At this moment, Wu Maji finally appeared. Her bewitching big eyes faintly swept across the hundreds of Ning clan warriors' corpses on the ground. She did not react at all, as if the dead were just pigs and dogs, or even worse than pigs and dogs. Then, she looked at Song Chunhua with her beautiful eyes and said, "Is this a desperate situation? It's useless. It's only because your world society still has some value that I made this trip. Otherwise, it wouldn't take much effort to annihilate the entire world association. Kill them all and take her down." Wu Maji ordered. Yes. The 4 elders behind her bowed and said. Then, the 4 of them took out their weapons. All of them were jet black snake staffs. Whoosh! Suddenly, a ball of black fog appeared, and the 4 elders directly disappeared. Then, they appeared in front of Yang Dingtian and the others in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Then, a ball of black fog flew out. Suddenly, more than 10 Emo dragon martial guards let out shrill screams. They threw away their weapons and frantically scratched their faces and bodies. Then, in a moment, their bodies completely melted, turning into a pool of disgusting pus. Highly toxic. The black fog released by the 4 Ning clan elders was highly toxic. Yang Dingtian and the others Xian Qi shook violently. Boom! Suddenly, all the Emo dragon martial guards around them were sent flying. The next battle was not something they could participate in. Whoosh! The 4 Ning clan elders' clothes suddenly turned into a ball of black fog in the shape of a poisonous snake. They quickly surrounded Yang Dingtian and the others, completely surrounding them. Boom! Song Chunhua suddenly released the Phoenix Heavenly Fire. Suddenly, flames shot out from all 4 directions, completely engulfing the black fog. This highly toxic black fog should be afraid of the Xian fire with such an amazing temperature. It should be burned to ashes. But the truth had given Yang Dingtian and the others a huge shock. The Phoenix Heavenly Fire was indeed terrifying. It directly burned the highly toxic black fog. However, after burning, the highly toxic black fog actually emitted a black-red light and turned into a highly toxic fire dragon. It was even more powerful and rushed towards Yang Dingtian and the others. Xian Qi shield! Yang Dingtian ordered. Suddenly, everyone fiercely circulated their Xian Qi and burst out, turning into a huge Xian Qi shield. However, something even more terrible happened. This highly toxic black fog, layer by layer, contaminated the Xian Qi shield. It could not pass through the Xian Qi shield, but it contaminated the Xian Qi shield bit by bit, filling the entire Xian Qi shield with highly toxic poison. Then, this highly toxic poison quickly and fiercely spread towards Yang Dingtian and the others. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart was extremely shocked. They had 3 strong masters. Zhu Hongxue was also similar to a master, and the little girl was a celestial spirit master. Unexpectedly, they were forced into a desperate situation by the 4 Ning clan elders. This Ning clan of the South Sea was indeed strange. Yang Dingtian had already seen that none of the 4 elders was a master, but the poison they emitted was indeed like a bug. This highly toxic poison, inch by inch, spread quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was about to enter their bodies. Kacha, 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 the little princess vulture, as a celestial spirit master, finally made a move. Suddenly, all the stones on the ground were crushed, and then instantly condensed into a stone shield, protecting Yang Dingtian and the others. This highly toxic black fog could contaminate Xian Qi and energy, but it could not contaminate ordinary materials. However, something terrible happened. This stone shield was corroded inch by inch, melting inch by inch, and turned into a disgusting green liquid. What kind of poison was this? The entire stone shield was about to collapse in an instant. Zhu Hongxue immediately released the thunderous shield, protecting all 5 of them. However, the highly toxic Xian Qi was corroding the thunderous shield inch by inch, swallowing it. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian called out the demon spirit heavenly fire and released an ice shield. Of course, because he did not have Yin Xian meridians, this ice shield could only be maintained for a very short time. Whoosh! The ice shield of the demon spirit heavenly fire was indeed powerful. It instantly froze the highly toxic black fog. Of course, the highly toxic black fog was still permeating and contaminating. However, it was much slower than before. Attack, kill them! Yang Dingtian ordered. Then, the few of them drew their swords in the air, and the sword aura directly pierced towards the 3 poison elders. That's right, their speed was divided, and they turned into a black shadow. However, this speed was nothing in front of Yang Dingtian, and he could easily hit them. However, something strange happened again. The energy of the rapidly shooting sword aura was actually eaten by the highly toxic Xian Qi, and directly turned into highly toxic poison, softly shooting towards the 3 poison elders. The 3 of them were safe and sound. Then, these 3 highly toxic sword aura were directly reflected back. Bang! Almost in the blink of an eye, Yang Dingtian's ice shield was directly shattered. The highly toxic black fog was still crazily spreading. There was no other way. Yang Dingtian did not have Yin Xian meridians, so this ice shield could not last for long. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian hurriedly summoned another ice shield. Then, the little princess vulture frantically condensed stone powder to build a jade shield. Damn, what the hell was this highly toxic Xian Qi? It was actually so heaven-defying. So abnormal. There was no solution at all. Yang Dingtian, don't worry, I won't kill you. However, I will bestow Song Chunhua to these 4 poison elders. I believe they will be very happy. Wu Maji lightly sneered. In your dreams. Yang Dingtian sneered. You have no solution for this highly toxic poison. Yes, you have master-level experts, but facing this highly toxic poison, even great master-level experts have no solution, let alone you? Wu Maji lightly sneered. Frogs at the bottom of a well, laughable and despicable. In a while, I will let you see with your own eyes how Song Chunhua, who was dragged down by you, will be ravaged and tortured by these 4 poison elders. I will let everyone see clearly the fate of following Yang Dingtian. Your Yang Dingtian's talent is amazing. But what did that count for? In front of my Ning clan, your so-called talent is nothing. Just these 4 poison elders are enough to put you in a desperate situation. Don't waste time, it has never been used, there is no solution. In front of my Ming clan, you are nothing. Whoosh! After Yang Dingtian summoned the last ice shield, he quickly used the invisibility mystic skill and immediately surrounded himself with an isolated space. Immediately after, he rushed out of the poisonous fog like lightning. That's right, this extremely terrifying poison could corrode all energy and all objects. However, it could not corrode the isolated space. In the isolated space, Yang Dingtian passed through the poisonous fog and was safe and sound. Time was of the essence, after rushing out of the poisonous fog. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yang Dingtian quickly appeared behind the 4 poison elders. Like lightning, the fledgling soared. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, in an instant, the 4 poison elders were smashed into pieces and died. Damn it, these 4 damn things. When they were powerful, they were almost undefeatable. When they were weak, they were like a ball of paper. In a blink of an eye, they were all killed by Yang Dingtian. Boom! Yang Dingtian summoned the mystic fire and instantly burned the corpses of the 4 poison elders to ashes. In an instant, all the poisonous fog disappeared. The entire Fengyi Pavilion regained its clarity. Impossible! Wu Maji exclaimed and said, "How did you come out? How did you break through this highly toxic Xian fog? Even a great master could not break it, how did you break it? Kill her!" Yang Dingtian directly ordered. Immediately, without any warning, Yang Dingtian and the other 4 pounced on Wu Maji like lightning. 3 masters, 1 near master, and 1 celestial spirit master. Wu Maji was only a few years old, no matter how high her cultivation was, she could not escape. Seeing Yang Dingtian and the other 4 pouncing over, Wu Maji's beautiful eyes flashed with a cold sneer. 5 swords pierced towards Wu Maji like lightning, about to completely dismember her. Whoosh! Almost instantly, she disappeared on the spot. That's right, she disappeared directly. Then, she appeared a few hundred meters away. Demonic spirit mist cloak. Little Princess Vulture exclaimed. That's right, it was the demonic spirit mist cloak. After Evil Ways mastered the method of easily killing demonic spirits, they must have obtained a lot of demonic spirit corpses and made the demonic spirit mist cloak. It turned out that she was wearing it. Little girl, chase after her. Yang Dingtian ordered because the little girl also had the demonic spirit mist. Okay. Watch me. Then, the little girl also flashed and stabbed towards Wu Maji. Whoosh 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 whoosh, immediately, the 2 of them used the flash technique. They suddenly disappeared and reappeared in the Fengyi Pavilion. However, Wu Maji could not shake off Vulture's pursuit. Vulture was constantly sending messages to Yang Dingtian, so Yang Dingtian and the others quickly intercepted Wu Maji at the place where she was about to appear. Suddenly, Wu Maji became dangerous. Although she could still escape, it was getting more and more dangerous. Your death is near, Song Chunhua said. Yang Dingtian's group of 5 instantly surrounded Wu Maji and drew their swords in unison, wanting to dismember her. That's not necessarily true. Wu Maji sneered. Suddenly, she turned around abruptly, and her beautiful eyes emitted a soul-sucking light that pierced into Vulture's pupils. In an instant, the little Princess Vulture was dazed and temporarily lost her mind. She waved her sharp sword and flashed towards Song Chunhua. Then, Wu Maji suddenly flashed in front of Yang Dingtian. Hiss! 5 claw-like things slashed across his chest. Yang Dingtian quickly blocked and dodged. Whoosh! Wu Maji disappeared again. Ah! Then, Yang Dingtian felt a burning pain on his back. He had been swept by Wu Maji's demonic spirit claws. Huh! Wu Maji mocked, Yang Dingtian, you can't kill me, right? You're nothing in front of me. Whoosh 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 whoosh, then, Wu Maji attacked like lightning. She directly scratched Qin Huayu, Zhu Hongxue, and Song Chunhua until they were dripping with blood. Then, she immediately used the demonic spirit mist cloak to flash away. After using the demon spirit eye to confuse the little girl, she was actually able to easily maneuver among the several experts and gain the upper hand. Not only did she hurt them, but she also repeatedly mocked them. Yang Dingtian, you're really nothing. Surrender early and give your wife and father-in-law to our young master. Maybe you can still drag out an ignoble existence with a green hat. Swoosh. Wu Maji's sharp claws slashed towards Yang Dingtian's eyes. Whoosh. A few streaks of blood appeared on Yang Dingtian's face. Whoosh. The demoness was about to flash away again. You want to leave? Not so easy. Yang Dingtian sneered. He suddenly used the demonic spirit Demon Fire's icebound technique. In an instant, the demoness was frozen. Yang Dingtian stabbed her with his sword. Blood splattered everywhere. Wu Maji suddenly let out a miserable cry. Her entire right chest was pierced through by Yang Dingtian's sword. Yes, Yang Dingtian did not have meridians, so the icebound technique was not strong enough. However, it only needed to freeze her for a moment. Chapter 436. Yang Dingtian's sword was supposed to pierce through her heart. Although he had promised Ning Fu that he would impersonate him and go to the Ning clan of the South Sea to save Wu Maji and the Ning clan. However, it seemed that there was no need to save Wu Maji. Moreover, Ning Fu's performance was rather vague throughout the entire process. In the beginning, Yang Dingtian was indeed shocked by him because he had chosen to die together with the Ning clan's elder for Yang Dingtian. However, it was later proven that the whole process was a plot by the Temple of Annihilation's young master, Li Ming. He wanted to make Yang Dingtian use the crystal tears to demonize Annihility Piao Ling. Therefore, it was unknown whether Ning Fu was innocent or not. However, at least Yang Dingtian did not have to risk his life to fulfill his promise. In order to completely break the relationship between the world society and the Ning clan of the South Sea, he had to let Ning Wuming feel the pain. Therefore, Yang Dingtian was very determined to kill Wu Maji. Wu Maji was also very good. The moment she sensed danger, she immediately flashed and escaped. Although she did not manage to dodge Yang Dingtian's sword, she managed to avoid the fatal blow to her heart. After being stabbed by Yang Dingtian, Wu Maji quickly retreated a few hundred meters. Then, her beautiful eyes were extremely vicious. She looked at Yang Dingtian and said sternly, "You dare to kill me? Then I don't care about the ban anymore. I want you dead. I want all of you dead." Instantly, Wu Maji's beautiful eyes changed. Her green eyes instantly turned blood red. Then, two snow-white sharp fangs pierced out from the corner of her beautiful mouth and pierced through the veil. Then, she let out a shrill cry. At the same time, her energy level soared. She broke through from Martial Honorable to Master. Kacha kacha, suddenly, the entire ground began to tremble. The entire stormy pavilion began to break and collapse. The entire ground began to crack violently. Then, one by one, the underground creatures burst out of the ground and charged toward Yang Dingtian and the others. Everyone was stunned by this scene. When Qin Ji had pretended to be Wu Maji, she had said that she was a shaman spiritualist. Sorcerers were gifted with the ability to summon undead creatures. However, it definitely didn't look like this. It definitely didn't look so evil and strange. Countless specters burst out of the ground. There were dozens and hundreds of them. He rushed madly towards Yang Dingtian. Boom! Yang Dingtian's Xian flame fiercely smashed over. The flames exploded, and all of the underground creatures were instantly smashed into pieces. They looked like they couldn't even withstand a single blow. But shortly after, the bodies of these underground creatures were smashed to pieces. Suddenly, a white light burst out and condensed together. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of vengeful souls of undead creatures suddenly gathered together. Then, he abruptly threw a palm strike at Zhu Hongxue, who was the closest to him. Zhu Hongxue activated the thunderous shield and looked at the huge undead with disdain. Bang! Zhu Hongxue was sent flying, coughing up blood. Everyone was shocked. This huge undead creature was actually so powerful. Of course, it wasn't that Zhu Hongshue's thunderous shield was useless. It was because the undead creature's palm strike was too powerful. It directly broke through the limit of the thunderous shield and exploded it. After the huge undead creature sent Zhu Hongxue flying, it suddenly pounced on him again. At this moment, the demon dragon warriors outside were unwilling to leave Song Chunhua here. They fiercely rushed in again. Whoosh! This huge undead creature shuttled through the bodies of more than a dozen demon dragon warriors like lightning. In an instant, these demon dragon warriors' bodies trembled, and their eyes lost their vision. Then, a blood-red color was used in their eyes. In an instant, they turned into bloodthirsty and fierce puppets and rushed towards Song Chunhua. Song Chunhua was stunned when he saw the familiar subordinates. Unexpectedly, these puppets suddenly opened their mouths and spat out a mouthful of foul blood at Song Chunhua. "Don't let them touch you." Little Princess Vulture had just regained consciousness. When she saw this scene, she immediately carried Song Chunhua and flashed away. Qin Huayu stepped forward and slashed with his sword. In an instant, these puppet warriors were directly cut in half at the waist. But the strange thing was that these puppet warriors were still not dead. They were still crawling forward, biting and spitting blood crazily. "Rest in peace, brothers." Song Chunhua suddenly smashed down a ball of heavenly phoenix fire. Boom! Suddenly, these puppets exploded and turned into ashes. But they were still not dead. Rays of white light were directly extracted and then condensed into an undead creature in the air. It continued to rush towards Song Chunhua crazily. At this moment, Zhu Hongxue on the other side was already in danger. That huge undead creature pounced towards him crazily. Once it entered his body, it meant that he was contaminated by the undead. It was possible that he would end up like those puppet warriors just now. Zhu Hongxue attacked it crazily and used all his methods. He slashed with his sword, burned with his mystic fire, used his sword ray, and mystic skills. However, this huge undead creature was completely unharmed. These attacks had no effect on it at all. It was a huge body of energy and was not afraid of any damage at all. At this moment, Song Chunhua quickly rushed over to help Zhu Hongxue. The sharp sword in her hand slashed fiercely at the undead creature. Huge bolts of lightning directly hit the undead creature's body. Although it was constantly trembling and its speed was slightly reduced, it still could not be harmed. It still pounced towards Zhu Hongxue. At this moment, Wu Maji's eyes were filled with blood. She commanded the two undead creatures to attack crazily. "Capture the ringleader to capture the bandits." Yang Dingtian pounced towards Wu Maji like lightning. His sword directly slashed towards her incomparably beautiful head. Swoosh! Wu Maji suddenly looked towards Yang Dingtian. Suddenly, a dazzling light shot into Yang Dingtian's eyes. Then, Yang Dingtian's mind suddenly went blank. This kind of lucidity was exactly the same as if he was stabbed by the demon spirit's eyes. His entire divine sense was instantly lost. Then, Yang Dingtian suddenly raised his sword, turned around, and quickly stabbed towards Qin Huayu. "Yang Dingtian, what are you doing? Wake up!" Little Princess Vulture exclaimed. Yang Dingtian's eyes were completely blurred and blood-red. He crazily slashed towards Qin Huayu. Immediately, Qin Huayu desperately dodged. Not only did he have to avoid the undead creature's pursuit, but he also had to avoid Yang Dingtian's pursuit. However, he could not deal a heavy blow to Yang Dingtian. Suddenly, Wu Maji firmly gained the upper hand by herself. The demon dragon warriors beside her all rushed towards Wu Maji. They also knew that to capture the ringleader, they had to capture the ringleader. Wu Maji's beautiful eyes swept across them. Suddenly, dozens of demon dragon warriors' eyes became chaotic and instantly turned blood red. Then, they directly lost all consciousness and became violent. They crazily pounced towards Little Princess Vulture and the others. This Wu Maji was actually so heaven-defying. After transforming into the Blood Fiend Devil Queen, she was actually in an invincible position. Yang Dingtian's mental calculation was extremely firm. However, after being scanned by her demon spirit's eyes, he was immediately confused and bloodthirsty. He even turned on his comrades. Humph! Yang Dingtian, you are nothing in front of me. Wu Maji coldly said, I will let you have a taste of killing your friends with your own hands. Yang Dingtian's blood-red eyes turned and immediately stared at little Princess Vulture. The little girl was shocked and trembled in fear. Immediately after, the soul sword in Yang Dingtian's hand slashed at the little girl frantically. Ah! The little girl cried out in alarm and immediately flashed away. Yang Dingtian, I'm a little girl. I'm the little girl that you dote on the most. Ah, big brother Tian, wake up quickly. Don't scare me. Little Princess Vulture cried as she ran away. Hiss! Yang Dingtian opened his right hand and directly froze her with the demon spirit's fiend flame's ice seal. Then, the soul sword in his hand slashed towards her head. The little princess was horrified and could not believe what was happening. She could not believe that she would die under Yang Dingtian's sword. No! Qin Huayu roared and pounced towards Yang Dingtian and the little princess. Roar! Yang Dingtian suddenly let out a roar. The sharp sword in his hand used all of his Xian flame and energy to slash down. Qin Huayu gritted his teeth and waved his sword to block with all his might. Pft! Qin Huayu spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. Yang Dingtian also spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. Qin Huayu was a master realm expert and so was Yang Dingtian. However, his Xian Qi could only unleash the power of a 9-star 9th-rank martial venerable. However, he had the heaven and earth Xian flame and a soul sword that was close to the emperor grade. Therefore, the energy that burst out in an instant was extremely shocking. Although Qin Huayu was a master realm expert, he could not withstand it at all. Both sides were injured in a full-powered attack. Yang Dingtian spat out a mouthful of blood and flew back towards Wu Maji. Trash, go and kill them. Kill your best friend. Wu Maji shouted at Yang Dingtian and issued a cruel order. Swoosh! Yang Dingtian suddenly disappeared. Immediately after, in the next second. Pft! Yang Dingtian stabbed his sword into the witch's abdomen. Bitch, do you really think that I was confused by you? I woke up in an instant. I was just acting to numb you and get closer to you. Yang Dingtian said coldly. He did not lie. After being confused, the one who woke him up was none other than Yang Dingtian's soul sword. That's right, the soul sword and Yang Dingtian lived and died together. When it could not sense Yang Dingtian's soul, the soul sword instantly drilled into his brain and woke him up. She looked at the sharp sword that pierced through her abdomen, still dripping with blood. Ah! The witch let out an earth-shattering scream. Then, the two undead spirits that she controlled and the endless underground creatures that came out of the ground were instantly crushed and turned into ashes. Yang Dingtian pulled out his sword and stabbed at Wu Maji's body. One sword after another, one sword after another. Aiming at Wu Maji's most enchanting body, Yang Dingtian stabbed over 100 times in an instant. He wanted to completely turn this witch into a pile of meat paste. Blood spurted out and Wu Maji let out a series of shrill screams. Finally, aiming at Wu Maji's heart, Yang Dingtian stabbed with his sword. In an instant, her heart was pierced multiple times. Her screams stopped abruptly. Wu Maji's beautiful head drooped down and died just like that. He finally killed this witch, this incomparably powerful witch. Yang Dingtian gently swung the soul sword and was about to sheath it. At this moment, an incomparably horrifying scene appeared. The wounds all over Wu Maji's body quickly healed. All the blood stopped flowing and countless wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, Wu Maji returned to her perfect, curvaceous body. Yang Dingtian even stabbed her heart more than a dozen times. Her heart was already riddled with holes. At this moment, it was also recovering rapidly. Then, Wu Maji suddenly raised her head, revealing her cold and beautiful eyes. She was resurrected, she was actually resurrected. Yang Dingtian and the others were completely stunned. A completely dead person, a person whose heart was pierced, was actually resurrected. Yang Dingtian immediately thought of something. The evil spirit energy. Back then, after Ningyu died, she was resurrected by the evil spirit. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Then, Wu Maji quickly flashed hundreds of meters away. My heart hurts so much. Wu Maji clutched her chest and looked at Yang Dingtian. You're the only one who can make my heart hurt so much. This is really a hellish pain, as if I've heard the news of my husband's death again. This pain is so painful that I'd rather die. But, you can't kill me, Yang Dingtian. Wu Maji said coldly, I'll never die. Every time I die, I become stronger. Your doomsday has arrived. Whoosh. Wu Maji's headscarf suddenly loosened, and her long hair that reached her legs suddenly fluttered. She suddenly floated in the air and released an incomparably powerful energy. All the vengeful spirits underground, listen to my call, start the slaughter, and start to take revenge for all your hatred. Following Wu Maji's shout. Suddenly, all the ground within a few thousand meters cracked open. Countless ghosts crazily crawled out. Like a tide, they surged toward Yang Dingtian and the others as if they were going to completely drown them. Yang Dingtian's heart was almost numb from the shock at this time. Damn it, it was so easy to kill the 4 poison elders just now. He thought that Wu Maji would not be difficult to kill. Who knew that he would provoke such a powerful demoness? If she was already so powerful, what about Ning Wuming? What about Yan Pianxian? Of course, Yang Dingtian also noticed that Wu Maji said that she had the same heartache when she heard the news of Ning Wuming's death. From this sentence, it seemed that she had feelings for her husband Ning Wuming. However, this was not the time to think about this. Now, it was the most critical moment. This demoness was completely enraged and summoned an astronomical number of ghosts. This world gathering was definitely a place of trouble. In these hundreds of thousands of years, who knew how many people had been killed here, but this demoness Wu Maji summoned thousands of vengeful spirits. These countless vengeful spirits were really like ants, surging over like a tide. They had completely rotted, leaving only skeletons and the green light in their eyes. They only had one way of attacking, and that was to pounce and bite. They must not be bitten, or they would be poisoned, and there would probably be no cure. Boom, 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 boom. Yang Dingtian, Qin Huayu, Song Chunhua, and Zhu Hongxue desperately released their mystic fire. They blasted these skeletons into pieces. This killing was really satisfying. But the consequences were also very satisfying. Every time they killed a skeleton, a vengeful spirit would float out. Then, they would gather together and become a powerful undead spirit. Just now, the undead spirit formed by a few hundred skeletons was already so abnormally powerful. This time, there were thousands and thousands of undead spirits. Yang Dingtian did not dare to imagine how powerful they would be. However, Yang Dingtian soon felt the power of this abnormally powerful undead spirit. Bang! This huge undead spirit condensed a huge bone sword in its hand and swept it at Yang Dingtian and the others. Yang Dingtian and the other 4 tried their best to block it. Then, all 5 of them were sent flying. All 5 of them were injured and vomited blood. You guys, hold it back, Yang Dingtian said. Immediately, Qin Huayu, Song Chunhua, and the other 3 quickly surrounded the huge undead spirit and attacked crazily. They attacked with all their means. Mystic skills, mystic fire, all of them. However, this terrifying undead spirit was completely unharmed. It could not even scratch an itch. This damn thing was simply invincible. Therefore, the root of it was still that witch, Wu Maji. Yang Dingtian raised his sword and rushed towards Wu Maji like lightning. Hold the undead spirit and kill Wu Maji. Wu Maji was indeed heaven-defying. Her body was stabbed hundreds of times and she did not die. However, if her head was chopped off, Yang Dingtian did not believe that she would not die. Qin Huayu and the other three tightly held the abnormally powerful undead spirit. Yang Dingtian rushed towards Wu Maji with his fastest speed. However, he saw Wu Maji laughing coldly. Bang! Suddenly, a wall of air appeared in front of Yang Dingtian. The huge undead spirit waved its hand and all the air froze, infiltrating the dark energy of ghosts. Yang Dingtian crashed into the wall and his body flew out. Blood spurted out, and all the bones in his body seemed to be broken. Abnormal, this huge undead spirit was too abnormal. At this moment, the huge undead spirit suddenly aimed at Song Chunhua, opened its mouth and sucked. Instantly, Song Chunhua's face turned pale. Her entire body was frozen in an instant. Her entire body was on the verge of collapse. Not good. This powerful undead spirit wanted to devour a person's soul and life force. Song Chunhua knelt down on one knee and stabbed her sword into the ground. She gathered all her spirit and celestial qi to resist. However, there was no doubt. This undead spirit formed by millions of vengeful spirits was too powerful. It was not something that an ordinary master could resist. Suddenly, Song Chunhua's face turned paler and paler. Her body trembled more and more, and her gaze became more and more unfocused. Soon, all of her soul would be sucked away. Once her soul was sucked away, she would become a walking corpse. Use all your strength to kill it. Yang Dingtian roared. Then, Yang Dingtian, Qin Huayu, Zhu Hongxue, and Little Princess Vulture used all their strength to attack the undead spirit. However, the abnormally powerful undead spirit did not react at all. You harmed my big sister Chunhua, I'll kill you. The Little Princess Vulture suddenly cried out, then suddenly appeared and charged towards Wu Maji. Although Song Chunhua had beaten her up. However, the little girl loved elder sister Chunhua the most. Yang Dingtian did not want to use the dark mystic flame in front of Wu Maji. This was his trump card. Evil ways could not know about it. However, he could not care less now. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian summoned the terrifying dark mystic flame. Wu Maji's body trembled when she saw it. She looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. Obviously, she immediately felt the terror of the dark mystic flame. Just as she was stunned, the little princess spirit vulture suddenly appeared in front of her and fiercely thrusted her sword towards her head. Wu Maji was shocked and immediately dodged. However, the little girl's sword still stabbed into Wu Maji's neck. She cried out in pain and blood spurted out. You're courting death. Wu Maji said sternly. Then, she slashed with her sharp claws. The frightening sharp claws slashed at the little girl's soft breasts. It carried with it a dark aura and a terrifying energy. No! Yang Dingtian roared. Puff! The little girl's spirit vulture's chest violently spurted blood. Her entire delicate body was like a broken flower petal, and she directly flew out dozens of meters. Little girl, Yang Dingtian's heart twitched. His vision turned black and he was about to faint. The darkness profound flame that soared into the sky suddenly smashed towards the gigantic dead spirit. Little Princess Vulture fell to the ground. Her chest was covered in blood and she did not move. Zhu Hongxue, go and save the little girl, Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Zhu Hongxue rushed over like lightning. Don't even think about it. Wu Maji sneered. The giant spirit emitted a white light. An air wall condensed and Zhu Hongxue was sent flying back. At this moment, the dark mystic flame drilled into the giant spirit's body. The dark mystic flame was undeniably powerful. It devoured the spirit's energy crazily. The giant spirit's body became fainter and fainter. However, it did not feel any pain. It was still devouring Song Chunhua's soul. There was not enough time. The spirit's energy was too strong. Yang Dingtian's cultivation was limited. Therefore, the power of the dark mystic flame was limited. Although it could devour the spirit's energy, it would take some time to completely destroy the spirit. However, there was not enough time. Song Chunhua was already on the verge of collapse. Wu Maji walked to little Princess Vulture. She looked at Yang Dingtian and said coldly, "Is this one of your women? Then I'll let you have a taste of heart-wrenching pain now. Although she should be dead by now. However, I'll let her die again," Wu Maji said coldly. Then, she raised her palm and condensed a blood-red light. This was an incomparably powerful energy. When it condensed, the air within a few thousand meters trembled. "Wu Maji, don't! Her great-grandfather is Wulingzi." Yang Dingtian screamed and rushed toward her. "So what?" Wu Maji said calmly, "In my eyes, the world is nothing but grass." Boom! Wu Maji's beautiful eyes were filled with cruelty. She aimed the blood-red energy at the little girl Vulture and smashed it down. There was a loud explosion. Blood spurted out as if a missile had exploded. The ground trembled and cracked. The incomparably powerful energy exploded on little princess's body. In an instant, little princess's body disappeared. The light of endless blood instantly devoured her delicate body. "Ah!" Yang Dingtian screamed in agony. Boom! 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 3 mystic flames. Million spirit demonic flame, demon spirit demonic flame, and dark mystic flame. They burst out and rushed into the sky. Then, they fiercely condensed together, fiercely colliding, fiercely colliding. Boom! The whole world exploded with an extremely dazzling light. It was 1,000 times brighter than the sun. It was like a small nuclear explosion. The 3 mystic flames suddenly exploded in the middle of the undead. Boom! The collision of the 3 mystic flames produced a terrifying reaction. The energy instantly multiplied by 10 times. In an instant, the incomparably huge undead was turned into ashes and shattered into pieces. Pfft! Wu Maji spat out a mouthful of blood. Her entire delicate body flew out. Her beautiful face instantly turned pale. Yang Dingtian's mystic qi was almost completely depleted in an instant. His anger and hatred soared to the heavens. He rushed forward crazily. He aimed at Wu Maji's sea of qi and kicked. Bam! Wu Maji's delicate body was kicked into the sky. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Yang Dingtian burst into the sky and stepped on Wu Maji's back as he descended ruthlessly. Bam! He directly stepped on Wu Maji into the ground. He raised the giant sword in his hand and aimed it at Wu Maji, who was in the ground. Pfft! Which Wu Maji's entire head was instantly pierced. Yang Dingtian's sword pierced through her forehead and came out from the back of her head. "Are you going to die or not?" Yang Dingtian roared. Then, he suddenly pulled out the sword. Something terrifying happened once again. The wound on Wu Maji's body quickly healed and healed. Her peerlessly beautiful face was once again undamaged. She even gave Yang Dingtian a sarcastic and cruel smile. "Devil, this is a devil." Qin Huayu was shocked and immediately stopped in place with Zhu Hongxue. At this moment, a little girl with a dusty face crawled out from the ground. It was the little Princess Vulture. Although she looked confused and her chest was dripping with blood, her life was not in danger. Immediately, Yang Dingtian could not help but be overjoyed. The little girl was not dead, she was not dead. Just now, Wu Maji had smashed down with such a huge amount of blood demon energy, even 10 little girls would be dead. But now, she was not dead. Wu Maji was also shocked. She could not believe that the little girl was not dead. Then, Yang Dingtian knew why. It was because of the Guardian Ring. The Guardian Ring could absorb all damage. Therefore, the little girl was still alive. Yang Dingtian did not have time to be happy. He immediately gave the little girl a look. The little girl might still be in a daze, but she still understood Yang Dingtian's intention. Flash over, save Song Lihua, and kill this bastard Song Minghua. The little girl nodded and covered her injured chest. She activated her chi and flashed over. Pft! The little girl spat out a mouthful of blood and flashed over. After a few flashes, the little girl appeared behind Song Minghua and slashed the sharp sword in her hand at Song Minghua. But Song Minghua did not feel it at all. However, right at this moment, the little girl's spirit vulture was suddenly sucked into the air by an enormous force. Yang Dingtian, how dare you? Song Minghua, you bastard! It was a voice filled with shock and despair. Song Zhao's tall figure arrived in an instant. Looking at everything in front of him, his eyes were full of disbelief. He really could not believe what was happening in front of him. Song Lihua's incident made him extremely angry. Therefore, he grabbed his favorite daughter and sent her to the ancestral fountain to repent and wash away the filth in her body and mind. But he did not expect that he would fall into the trap of luring the tiger away from the mountain. When he heard the earth-shattering noise from Ba City, he thought that a powerful expert had attacked. So, he threw Song Lihua to his son and went to get his weapon. He then summoned the elders and experts to the scene. But he did not expect this to happen in front of him. There was no powerful expert. It was Yang Dingtian. He was so bold and ruthless, so decisive and fierce. He actually brought people to assassinate Wu Maji, forcing Song Zhao to have no way out and no choice. But what made him even more shocked was that his own son, Song Minghua, was holding his sister hostage to force Yang Dingtian to let go of Wu Maji. That was his biological sister, the daughter that he, Song Zhao, doted on the most, the apple of his eye. Yang Dingtian said, "Sect Master Song, this is your son. This is the successor that the evil ways have chosen for the world society. Do you want to hand the world society over to such a bastard? Will there still be a future for the world society? Today, he can kill his sister for himself. Who knows if he will kill his father for his own interests tomorrow?" Hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Song Zhao was shocked. Chapter 437. Note, today is the second update. There's a very important chapter in front. It was undeniable that Yang Dingtian's words directly pierced the deepest part of Song Zhao's heart. When he saw Song Minghua holding a sword to his daughter's neck, he really wanted to smash Song Minghua into meat paste. Song Zhao had many children. The most important one was Song Chunhua. Because she was the bravest, the most upright and the most noble. Perhaps Song Zhao couldn't be so upright and noble, but it didn't stop him from admiring his daughter's character. Especially, while being noble and upright, Song Chunhua didn't pretend to be righteous, and she was also ruthless. She was almost the perfect successor. If the evil ways incident didn't happen, Song Zhao wouldn't hesitate to give the position of successor to Song Chunhua. But for Song Chunhua, Song Zhao felt very complicated. This eldest daughter was very outstanding, more outstanding than he imagined and asked for. But there was a barrier that he couldn't get close to. Therefore, Song Zhao loved Song Lihua the most. This kind of love was even very complicated. Song Zhao had many women. His wife was beautiful and gentle, but not smart enough. As for Song Lihua, she was extremely beautiful and intelligent. Kind, generous, cunning, charming, gentle, and smart. It could be said that Song Lihua was the pinnacle of women. She could almost be regarded as the most perfect woman in the world. Every time someone said that Dongfang Bingling was good, Song Zhao wouldn't be happy. Song Zhao didn't envy Dongfang Minmi at all. Having a daughter like Dongfang Bingling, he might be proud, but he wasn't happy at all. Giving birth to a daughter like Song Lihua was the happiest parent in the world. Because she could always make you laugh and make you like her. Therefore, everyone could only live on the 8th floor of King's City and below. Only Song Lihua could live on the 9th floor. Song Lihua was the apple of his eye, a priceless treasure. Therefore, when he heard that something happened to Song Lihua and Qin Huayu, Song Shao was furious. Song Shao was furious. He felt as if the treasure that he had doted on and protected for 10 to 20 years had been taken away by a pig. Therefore, he almost lost his mind in an instant. He was in complete disbelief. After capturing Song Lihua and questioning her, her beloved daughter actually admitted it completely and was determined to marry Qin Huayu. Song Shao only felt that a small part of the world in his heart had been completely destroyed. He felt that his pure and flawless daughter had been tainted. In a fit of rage, she grabbed Song Lihua and wanted to go to the ancestral spring to repent and wash away the filth in her body and mind. In fact, every time someone came to ask for Song Lihua's hand in marriage, Song Lihua's heart would be filled with joy. Song Shao was not happy in his heart, and this included the fact that Wu Maji had come to propose marriage for Ning Wuming. He always felt that his daughter was a pure and flawless treasure, and no man in the world was worthy of her. Of course, every father would have such thoughts. However, Song Lihua refused to admit that in the depths of his heart, he never wanted Song Lihua to get married. He wanted his beloved daughter to stay by his side forever. When it came to the ancestral spring, Song Lihua's attitude was still incomparably firm. She wanted to marry Qin Huayu, even if Song Shao threatened to drown her. Song Shao slapped her in the face. After slapping her, he regretted it. Because, a daughter like this, even if he beat her to death, he would not be able to change her mind. After regret, he felt incomparable heartache. It was even more heartache than slapping his own face. Then, he also came to his senses. Actually, nothing had happened between his daughter and Qin Huayu. The reason why she was determined to marry Qin Huayu was not because she liked Qin Huayu, but because she had decided to stand on Yang Dingtian's side, on the side of justice. That's right, Song Zhao's heart could not be clearer. Yang Dingtian was on the side of justice, while Qin Shiqi and Ning Wuming were on the side of evil. It could be said that any sect leader in the world clearly knew this point. But when it came to people of their level, talking about justice was undoubtedly absurd and childish. However, this did not hinder him from loving and cherishing his daughter even more. Any parent would hope that their children were upright and kind. No one liked a despicable and shameless child. Hence, he brought Song Lihua back, intending to put her under house arrest. After returning, he did not expect that such a scene would happen. Song Minghua, you're really promising, to actually use your own sister as a hostage. I really gave birth to a good son. Song Shao said coldly, usually, you have a neither yin nor yang appearance, so I felt that you're not a good thing. I indeed didn't see wrongly. Song Shao looked at Song Minghua with an extremely cold gaze, wishing that he could directly kill him with one palm. Song Minghua trembled, his eyes trembled, and an incomparably painful emotion welled up as he said, Father, could it be that I'm doing this for myself? I'm doing this for you, for the world society. Following that, Song Minghua said, Yang Dingtian, this bastard, for his own strength, he used the so-called hypocrisy to drag others down with him, to die together. Song Chunhua, this stupid slut, don't know what kind of improper things happened between her and Yang Dingtian. Actually, for an outsider, she wanted to cause the death of her own parents and siblings. Now, there's another Song Lihua. For Yang Dingtian, this bastard, she didn't hesitate to betray her family and shamelessly offered her own body, just to drag the world society down with her. Father, use your brain and think carefully. Who is the one who is loyal to you, who is wholeheartedly serving the world society? Song Minghua hissed, Song Chunhua, Song Lihua, these two sisters that you love the most, can't wait for you to die. And I am the one who is doing everything possible to save the world society. You're just doing this for my position. Song Shao said coldly. So what? Wu Maji said coldly, sect leader Song, the situation is very clear now. Our Temple of Annihilation chose Song Minghua to be the successor of the world society. You can choose either Yang Dingtian or Temple of Annihilation. Song Minghua said, Father, don't you see? Yang Dingtian, this bastard, the 5 of them joined hands to kill Madame Wu Maji and a few hundred devil dragon guards. But the result? All 5 of them are heavily injured, and Song Chuanhua's fate is unknown. Nearly half of the few hundred devil dragon guards are dead. And this is only Madame Wu Maji. What about the envoy Ning Wuming behind her? Not to mention the Supreme Temple Young Master, not to mention His Majesty the Demon King above the 9 heavens. Do you think you can survive by becoming enemies with the Temple of Annihilation? Song Minghua said, I know you love Song Lihua, but for her, are you willing to completely destroy the world society's hundreds of years of foundation? Song Zhao's expression changed, and said, but, you shouldn't have hurt your sister. Song Minghua said, I can only do this, or else Yang Dingtian would immediately kill Madame Wu Maji. Once Madame Wu Maji dies, we will be completely finished. Envoy Ning Wuming's anger will exterminate everyone in the world society. They care about Song Lihua's life, so we can only use Song Lihua as a hostage. We still have a hostage. Song Xiao said, let your sister go. The hostage he was talking about was, of course, the little princess vulture. But when he turned around, the little girl vulture had already taken the opportunity to escape without a trace, directly behind Yang Dingtian. This naughty girl was very clever. After being sucked into the air by Song Xiao, she used Song Zhao's anger and negligence to escape. Without a hostage, Song Xiao looked coldly at Yang Dingtian, let go of Madame Wu Maji, and I will let you leave. Otherwise, I will kill all of you. Impossible. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, as a father, are you going to continue watching your daughter die at any time? Song Minghua, let go of your sister. Song Xiao said. No, father. Once I let her go, Madame Wu Maji will definitely die. Song Minghua said. Suddenly, Wu Maji said with a smile, Sect Master Song, I understand your special feelings for your daughter. How about this, I will not ask Miss Song Lihua to marry young Master Ning Wuming, she is no longer worthy. You can continue to dote on this daughter of yours. As long as Song Minghua and Ning Bai marry each other, it will be fine. Then, the conditions that we agreed to will still be valid. In the shortest time possible, let Song Minghua break through to Grandmaster, and let you break through to Grandmaster. Song Zhao's face touched. Wu Maji continued, Song Xiao, I can tell you clearly. If you choose to stand on Yang Dingtian's side, tens of thousands of people in the world will be completely wiped out. Even if you don't stand on Yang Dingtian's side, but let me die under Yang Dingtian's sword, then your world society will be completely wiped out. You can make a choice now. Choose your daughter, or choose your own life, your own strength, and the entire world society. Wu Maji said finally, you must make a clear choice, there is no room for hypocrisy, no room for hypocritical fatherly love. Song Xiao, I will count to 3, if you still haven't made a choice by then, I will completely destroy your world society. Even if you want to kneel down and surrender in the future, there will be no chance, your world society will still be wiped out. You have seen how strong we are. 3. There was a suffocating feeling in the air. 2. Everyone's eyes looked at Song Xiao. Especially Song Lihua, her absolutely beautiful and pure eyes were fixed on her most beloved father. 1. There was silence in the field. A deathly stifling atmosphere. However, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Song Zhao's performance did not make them despair. Song Xiao, your world society is finished. Wu Maji said. Wait. Song Xiao said in a trembling voice, Yang Dingtian, let go of Madame Wu Maji immediately, or else what? Say it. Wu Maji said sternly. Or else, Song Lihua will die. Song Xiao said furiously. In an instant, he felt extremely humiliated. And Yang Dingtian, from his heart to his body, was completely cold. Song Chunhua looked at all of this in disbelief, she had just woken up and saw this scene. In an instant, the image of her father in her eyes suddenly collapsed. Pfft! A mouthful of blood directly spurted out from Song Lihua's little mouth. Her beautiful face, like a withered flower, directly dimmed. She could not believe that this was true. She could not believe that the man in front of her was her father, the father who loved her the most, and also her most doted father. Almost instantly, her world collapsed. In the world, there was nothing more ironic than this. Song Minghua, for his own selfish desires, threatened Yang Dingtian with his own sister's life. It was one thing. But now, Song Shao, the dignified sect master of a generation, was so afraid of evil ways. For a Wu Maji, he even used his most beloved daughter as a hostage to threaten. One was Song Lihua's brother, and the other was her father. And Yang Dingtian and Song Lihua were still strangers a few hours ago. They actually used the lives of their family members to threaten Yang Dingtian, an outsider, to compromise. Sect Master Song, people like you are really despairing. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, it's better to die standing than to live kneeling. At this moment, you have already destroyed the world society. In an instant, Song Shao exploded with endless anger and humiliation. His face as a grandmaster was torn down alive, revealing his ugliest and most cowardly true face. Yang Dingtian, it's all because of you. It's all because of you, you bastard. You're the one who ruined my world society, you're the one who forced me to make this choice. Song Shao roared sternly. Wu Maji laughed and said, Yang Dingtian, do you see this? This is the trash of your Taekwondo League, what are you still resisting for, Then, Wu Maji said with a cold face, Song Minghua, listen to my orders. I'll count to 3, if Yang Dingtian still doesn't let me go, immediately behead your sister, Song Lihua. Yes! Song Minghua shouted and placed his sword on the back of his sister, Song Lihua's neck. 1. 2. Song Minghua tightened the sword on his sister's neck and blood immediately flowed out. Song Zhao's face trembled and twitched as he turned his face away. Wu Maji laughed and said, it doesn't matter if I'm beheaded, because only losing my body will make my soul stronger. 3. Wu Maji shouted the last count. Yang Dingtian looked at Song Lihua's beautiful and delicate face and said indifferently, I'm sorry, Song Lihua. It's okay, I don't regret my choice. Song Lihua smiled sweetly at Yang Dingtian and said, today, I'm also proud. Also, please call me Lihua. Qin Huayu's body twitched and blood flowed out of Song Chuanhua's eyes. However, no one spoke, everyone obeyed Yang Dingtian's decision. Wu Maji looked at Yang Dingtian and smiled seductively. Kill! Wu Maji ordered. Song Minghua slashed down with his sword. Wait! Yang Dingtian shouted. I can't win against you. I'm not as cruel as you, I can't watch a beautiful life wither away. Yang Dingtian said, I'll give you Wu Maji, and you give us Song Lihua. You don't want such a beautiful fairy, but we do. We treat her as a treasure, and we're willing to give up our lives to protect her. Qin Huayu's tears immediately poured out. Song Lihua's beautiful face bloomed with dazzling light. Her beautiful vitality seemed to have completely recovered. Chapter 438. Song Shao had officially chosen to abandon his daughter Song Chunhua and Song Lihua. He had chosen to stand on the side of the evil ways. The entire place was silent. Lihua, come here. Yang Dingtian beckoned. Song Lihua wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and walked towards Yang Dingtian. You dare! Song Minghua shouted and pressed his sword down. Yang Dingtian, release Madame Wu Maji first, then we will release Song Lihua. Release her. Yang Dingtian said coldly. What if we release Song Lihua and you go back on your words? Song Minghua laughed coldly. Do you think I am you? Yang Dingtian shouted. Do you think I am a beast like you, a lackey? Release her. Song Minghua's face turned ugly, and his eyes flashed with viciousness and coldness. Release her. Wu Maji said indifferently. If there is anyone in this world that can be trusted, then the idiot behind me should be one of them. Wu Maji's words were like an imperial edict to Song Minghua, and he immediately put down his sword. Song Lihua walked over to Song Chunhua and said gently, "Sister, how are you?" "You are fine. My body was invaded by Yin Qi, and I should be able to expel it with the mystic fire." Song Chunhua said. "I am sorry to have implicated you." Song Lihua shook her head. "I am proud of the choice I made." Song Chunhua said to the surviving demonic dragon guards, "I'll have to trouble you guys to bring us 6 demonic dragon mounts." "Yes." The demonic dragon guard replied. All demonic dragon guards, return to camp. "Yes." Then, the 100 or so surviving demon dragon guards all retreated. Not long after, the 6 demonic dragon mounts rushed over. These mounts were indeed impressive, and they were extremely fast. Although they were from the demonic lizard clan, they looked very similar to the dinosaurs on Earth. They were 7 to 8 meters long and 2 meters tall. Their bodies were embedded with sturdy armor, and there was a sharp horn on their heads. It could be said that in terms of speed, in terms of explosive power, in terms of strength, and in terms of spirituality, the demonic dragon war cavalry was more than 10 times stronger than the most elite war horses. It could be said that a group of 300 devil dragon cavalry could easily defeat Yang Dingtian's 3,000 black blood cavalry. The World Society's devil dragon cavalry could be said to be the king of cavalry in the world. It was also the foundation of the world, the absolute trump card. Yang Dingtian and the others mounted the demonic dragon war steeds. "Give me a ride." Yang Dingtian also grabbed Wu Maji and jumped onto the demon dragon war mount. Ignoring the fact that they were men and women, he hugged her tightly. After all, she had the demon spirit mist cloak and could appear at any moment, so he had to hug her tightly. Then, the 6 of them rode the demonic dragon war steeds out of the city through the ruins. Song Xiao remained expressionless, his back facing Yang Dingtian and the others. As for Song Minghua, he led a group of demonic dragon cavalry to monitor Yang Dingtian and followed closely. When he walked past Song Xiao, he said in a low voice, "Father, I am the only one monitoring them. I am afraid that I will not be their opponent." Song Xiao's face twitched. Yang Dingtian will do what he said. He will not break the letter. It is better to be safe than sorry. Song Minghua said, "We must use the greatest evil to predict our enemy." Song Xiao's expression instantly turned extremely unsightly. Subsequently, he pulled over a formidable unicorn and rode on it, following closely behind Yang Dingtian's group of 5. The banished Yang Dingtian, Song Chunhua, Song Lihua, and the rest of the 6 people went down the Ba City floor by floor. At first, no one dared to come out to watch, but later, more and more people came out to watch. At first, no one dared to show sympathy, but later, more and more people showed sympathy. At first, no one dared to cry, but later, more and more people started to cry. No one was a fool. They had fought for so long just now. Also, many rumors had already spread throughout the entire world society. Everyone knew which side was righteous and which side was evil. Now, righteousness was exiled. The world society had chosen evil. The scene was completely depressing. Countless people looked at Yang Dingtian and Song Chunhua and cried silently. Finally, these gazes turned into support, worry, and fanatical admiration. Seeing this scene, Song Xiao's face turned extremely ugly. At the moment when he gave up on Song Lihua, at the moment when he chose evil ways. In the world society, he had already lost his prestige and the people's hearts. Originally, today was Song Minghua's proudest day. He finally got what he wanted. He chased away the proud and brilliant Song Chunhua and became the only successor of the world society. However, at this moment, when he saw the sympathy, admiration, and support of Song Chunhua and Yang Dingtian from the people of Ba City, he was instantly enraged. "Everyone, go back. These people are all traitors of the world society. No one is allowed to sympathize with them or collude with them. Otherwise, they will be punished as a criminal," Song Minghua shouted sternly. However, no one paid attention to him. Song Minghua's face turned cold and he was about to give the order to arrest them. Don't be so complacent. Don't show off your stupidity anymore, Song Xiao said coldly. Father, you are compromising, Song Minghua said. At this time, we can't be merciful. Whoever sympathizes with Yang Dingtian will be a traitor of the world society and must be arrested. Arrest? Can you arrest all of them? Song Xiao said lightly. Yes, could he arrest all of them? At this moment, on both sides of the road, layers and layers of Ba City were densely packed with people. Song Xiao was also completely shocked as he looked at all this in disbelief. Very quickly, Song Xiao woke up. He had to use the shortest amount of time to redeem himself. Immediately, he looked coldly at the three commanders and said, "You all, are you betraying me? Don't forget who used all the resources to nurture you. You all once knelt in front of the main hall and swore to be loyal to my world society. Could it be that you all want to go back on your oath?" When these words were spoken, the Devil Dragon cavalry was stunned and looked at each other. They were the bravest warriors and many of them were not afraid of death. However, they were afraid of going back on their oath. When each of them entered the Devil Dragon army, they all swore to be loyal to the world society forever. Otherwise, after death, they would fall into the 18 layers of hell and never be reborn. Their ancestors would never be able to reincarnate. Their descendants will never be able to reincarnate for 10,000 generations. They were not afraid of death, but they were afraid of going back on their oath. They were afraid that their ancestors and descendants would never be reborn. Are you all going to let your ancestors be shamed in hell? Sink into hell and wail in grief? Song Xiao said sternly. Immediately, all of the Devil Dragon cavalry took half a step back and their aura weakened. Even the faces of the three captains were deathly pale. Instantly, the aura of the 3,000 Devil Dragon cavalry was on the verge of collapse. Song Xiao was indeed Song Xiao. Once he got rid of his emotional troubles, he immediately went for the vital points. Unlike Song Minghua, who only knew how to threaten and abuse. Following which, Song Xiao said sternly, Song Chunhua, Song Lihua, seduced the enemy and betrayed the world society. From today onwards, I will expel the two of them from the world society and will never step into the north. Otherwise, I will kill them. Then, Song Xiao's body exploded with fighting spirit as he roared, Yang Dingtian, why aren't you scramming? Get out of my world society, get out of my north. Otherwise, I will kill you. I will kill all of you. Song Xiao put down the last weight on the scale. Then, his eyes were like lightning as he coldly said to the 3,000 Devil Dragon cavalry, I order all of the Devil Dragon cavalry to return to camp. Go! Song Xiao's roar was like thunder in the sky. After all, he was the leader of the world society for decades and had accumulated a lot of power. With this roar, the 3,000 Devil Dragon cavalry took a few steps back and became restless. At this moment, as long as someone took the lead to return to camp, it would cause a tide-like effect. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian sprinted out of the ranks and ran wildly in front of the Devil Dragon army. He immediately attracted the attention of the Devil Dragon army. Then, he jumped onto the dragon's head and faced Song Xiao. He raised the crystal sword token of the leader of the hidden sect and roared, as the leader of the Tiando League, the leader of the hidden sect, I order. Song Xiao has gone against the tide and is not fit to be the leader of the world society. He is officially dismissed. I order Song Chunhua to be the acting leader of the world society. Lead the Devil Dragon army to the south and fight against evil ways. Then, Yang Dingtian suddenly injected his Xian Qi. Suddenly, the crystal sword token shot out a dazzling radiance. Song Xiao trembled as he looked at the crystal sword in Yang Dingtian's hand in disbelief. To be honest, there were not many people who knew about the crystal sword. But Song Xiao was definitely one of them. He really did not dare to believe that the crystal sword token that represented the leader of the hidden sect was in Yang Dingtian's hands. At this moment, Song Chunhua got down from his mount and knelt down on one knee. Acting leader of the World Society, Song Chunhua, accepts the order. Yang Dingtian originally did not want to reveal this token because not many people had seen it before. Moreover, this was only the personal token of the Nihility Piaoling and not the real token of the leader of the hidden sect. However, at such a crucial moment, if he did not suppress Song Shao with righteousness, this incomparably elite trump card army would be completely lost. One must know that this 3,000 Devil Dragon army was comparable to 30,000, 50,000, or even more. Since he had already revealed it, he might as well go all the way. Yang Dingtian raised the token up high and shouted, "All warriors of the World Society, listen to my order. The Tiando League has officially issued a war call. All warriors of martial mystic rank and above, go into battle and follow your leader Song Chunhua to the south to fight." At this moment, the 3 Devil Dragon cavalry commanders immediately understood and shouted loudly, "Go south, go south." Immediately after, the thousands of Devil Dragon cavalry also shouted loudly, "Go south, go south." Then, under the leadership of a few leaders, the thousands of Devil Dragon cavalry began to run wildly on the huge ground. They ran wildly around Ba City. "Go south, go south." Instantly, the entire scene was filled with blood boiling. Everyone couldn't help but be greatly influenced by it. Then, in this blood-boiling infection, one warrior after another, riding their war horses, rushed out of Ba City and followed behind the Devil Dragon cavalry. At first, it was a few, then it became dozens, 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 dozens. In the end, they all surged out like a tide. Song Minghua was instantly stunned. He shouted with all his might and shouted with all his might. "You are all rebelling, rebelling. Men, block the city gate. Kill anyone who leaves the city." Song Minghua said sternly. The Devil Dragon cavalry behind him did not move. "What are you all waiting for? Go and block the city gate. Kill anyone who leaves the city." Song Minghua shouted at the Devil Dragon cavalry behind him. The 2 leaders of the Devil Dragon cavalry behind him looked at each other. Then, they suddenly pulled out their swords and led hundreds of Devil Dragon cavalry out. However, they did not go and block the city gate. Instead, they went directly behind Yang Dingtian and the others. They pulled out their swords and shouted, "Go south, go south." They had also completely rebelled and chose to follow Yang Dingtian and Song Chunhua. "Pooh!" Song Minghua spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. Not only did he not stop the enemy from rebelling, but his own army had also completely rebelled. Instantly, the army behind Yang Dingtian increased. In the end, there were over 10,000 people. The galloping of over 10,000 cavalry caused the entire ground to tremble. The entire Ba City was trembling. This momentum was like a raging fire. It could not be suppressed at all. Song Zhao's expression was as cold as ice. His body trembled as he looked at this scene. He had to stop all of this. Otherwise, the world order would rest. He could choose to kill Yang Dingtian immediately. But if he did so, then the 10,000 world order warriors present would completely abandon him. He was now extremely regretful. Why didn't he kill this scourge before? Even if he wanted to kill him now, it was too late. Of course, he also knew in his heart that he did not have the right to kill Yang Dingtian. This right belonged to the young master of the Temple of Annihilation, Li Ming. Thinking quickly, Song Shao laughed to the sky. He had the cultivation of a 9-star level 9 guru. His laughter was like a thunderclap. It actually completely covered the deafening galloping sound. Everyone turned to look at him. Ridiculous, ridiculous, this is the biggest absurdity in the world. Yang Dingtian, why don't you pretend to be someone else? You actually pretended to be the leader of the hidden sect. You are totally digging your own grave. Who doesn't know that the young master of the hidden sect, John Doe, has already descended to the world? That person, is that you? Of course, Song Shao already knew that John Doe was fake. But he did not know that John Doe was Yang Dingtian. At this moment, in order to suppress Yang Dingtian's momentum, of course, he had to use the gimmick of the young master of the hidden sect, John Doe. As long as Yang Dingtian's identity as the leader of the hidden sect was fake, then Yang Dingtian's image would completely collapse and the situation would be completely reversed. As expected, once this was said, everyone could not help but be confused. They did not doubt Yang Dingtian's righteousness. But they were confused about Yang Dingtian's identity as the so-called leader of the hidden sect. It was too sudden. Just now, they were so hot-blooded that they were led to rush out. Now that this thought was exposed, they instantly became suspicious. Everyone present had heard about the young master of the hidden sect, John Doe. Then, since the young master of the hidden sect was John Doe, then Yang Dingtian was fake. Ha 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 ha. Yang Dingtian laughed loudly. Suddenly, he flew into the air, raised the crystal sword in his hand and slashed towards the ground. Bang! A huge bolt of lightning suddenly struck the ground. Lightning mystic skill, demonic sky split. Everyone was very clear that the leaders of the hidden sect all had lightning talent. Of course, the reason why Bing Ling did not know lightning mystic skills was because her level was not high enough and she had not learned the high level of the hidden sect's cultivation technique. After learning it, even if she did not have lightning talent, she would be able to burst out lightning energy. Song Shao, open your eyes and look carefully. I am the leader of the hidden sect, Su Wuming. Yang Dingtian shouted loudly. Then, in the air, he suddenly performed the whirling calamity crossing sword technique. One sword, one sword, one sword. Suddenly, the air was torn apart and the space was torn apart. The space was torn apart and the scene was distorted. It was an extremely stunning scene. Only the hidden sect's whirling calamity crossing sword technique had this kind of sword technique. Seeing this scene, the atmosphere at the scene reached its peak. Everyone cheered loudly and looked up at Yang Dingtian in the air. Long live the hidden sect! Long live Yang Dingtian! Long live Su Wuming! Countless people's blood was boiling and countless deafening cheers. As for Song Shao, he looked at this scene. His entire heart was torn apart. It was completely like being struck by lightning. It was fine if he did not mention the young master of the hidden sect. Once he did, it completely confirmed Yang Dingtian's identity. Now, no matter what he said, it would be useless. Yang Dingtian's aura had already soared to the sky. Song Minghua was extremely jealous and looked at Yang Dingtian with incomparable resentment. He came to Song Zhao's side and said, "Father, go up and kill him, kill him. Kill him." Song Zhao said, "Kill him in front of tens of thousands of people? My crime is to murder the leader of the hidden sect. Qin Wanchou and the others will use this opportunity to tear our world society into pieces and swallow it. Behind us, there is still the Temple of Annihilation," Song Minghua said. "Once Yang Dingtian dies, the Temple of Annihilation will be the first to abandon me," Song Shao said indifferently. "The young master of the Temple of Gods will be the first to kill me. I don't have the qualifications to kill Yang Dingtian." At this moment, Yang Dingtian suddenly landed on his mount. He pulled out his sword and waved it, saying, "All martial artists, follow me to the south and fight to the death with evil ways." Then, with Yang Dingtian and the other 5 as the leader, they galloped south. Behind them, tens of thousands of people followed Yang Dingtian to the south to fight. Chapter 439. The current Song Shao was truly itching to peel Yang Dingtian's skin and pull out his tendons. He had never hated someone so much before. Qin Wentian had directly cut out a large piece of flesh from his heart. There were more than 3,000 Devil Dragon Army members. It was equivalent to 50,000 or even 100,000 soldiers. This was the trump card of the Primal Chaos World's ground army. In the entire Heavenly Dao Union's ground army, the Devil Dragon cavalry was completely invincible. Otherwise, with Qin Wancho's crazy personality, why did he never touch the north and instead repeatedly show goodwill? That was because he knew that in a ground battle, even if he sent out 100,000 or 200,000 soldiers, they would still be cut into pieces by the Devil Dragon army and killed cleanly. Of course, the world society had another trump card, the Steel Army. However, this army was basically used for defense or for frontal battles. This time, there was not a single Steel Army in the army that betrayed Song Shao. Of course, this was not because the Steel Army was loyal to Song Shao, nor was it because the Steel Army was not hot-blooded or righteous. It was because of the uniqueness of the Steel Army. This army's reputation was not very good. In the Tiando League, there were often people who attacked the world society because of the Steel Army's inhumanity. This was because the Steel Army could be considered to be forged using medicine and special methods. This army only obeyed orders and had almost no will of its own. On the battlefield, they did not know what fear was. They could be considered as a powerful and mechanical armed force. Thus, they were naturally not hot-blooded. Thus, no one followed Yang Dingtian to the south. The Devil Dragon army was different. It was the complete opposite of the Steel Army. One was absolutely numb and mechanical. As for the Devil Dragon army, they pursued speed. Speed meant freedom and hot-bloodedness. They had their own will and ideals, loyalty and hot-bloodedness. Of course, to Song Shao, these noble qualities became a sharp double-edged sword. When he was able to maintain their loyalty, they were an indestructible sharp sword in his hand. However, when he let them down and lost their loyalty, this sharp sword would finally hurt him. This was an army with a soul. When their commander was fighting side by side with Song Shao, he had also witnessed Song Zhao's extremely disappointing performance. The spiritual pillar that they had pledged their loyalty to had almost collapsed in an instant. Yang Dingtian, you and Song Chunhua just happened to fill this gap. Song Minghua's face was twisted as he watched Yang Dingtian lead the 10,000-strong army into the distance. He said, "Father, should we give chase? We will mobilize the Ba City army and order the vassals to intercept them. This army will not be able to reach Cloud Heaven City." Do you think there's another group in the world society that can stop the 3,000 or 4,000 Devil Dragon army? Song Shao asked. We still have 3,000 to 4,000 members of the Devil Dragon army, Song Minghua said. Idiot. If you send the rest of the Devil Dragon army out, they won't be able to return. They will follow Yang Dingtian to the south. Song Shao sternly said, Song Chunhua has been leading this army for more than 5 years. It's all this bitch's fault. And Song Lihua, that bitch. Song Minghua gritted his teeth. This time, Song Shao didn't scold him. At this moment, his hatred for Song Lihua and Song Chunhua even exceeded Yang Dingtian. If it weren't for these two daughters, Yang Dingtian wouldn't even be able to take one person away. Song Lihua, Song Chunhua, you two stupid and lowly women. One day, you will regret your decision today. My choice is the right one. Everyone who betrayed me today, you will all die on the battlefield. You will all die under the claws of evil ways. Yang Dingtian, aren't you going to kill me? Wu Maji asked. She was 29 years old this year. She was at the most mature and beautiful age for a woman. She had been married for a full 8 years. However, she had always been pure and innocent. On the night of her wedding with Ning Hua, her arrogance and valiance angered Ning Hua to the point of tears. Then, she ran out of the room. After that, the two of them were in a cold war. Later on, Ning Hua disappeared. Later on, the news of Ning Hua's death came. Ning Hua's departure was directly related to her. Ning Hua's death was also directly related to her. The last time she saw Ning Hua was his back, and Ning Hua's voice was full of concern and love. Go, go, then, Wu Maji really left. She really ran away, leaving Ning Hua to a powerful enemy. This enemy was attracted by her, Wu Maji. To be precise, it was attracted by his beauty. She had never seen such a shameless, unscrupulous, evil, and handsome man. The first time they met, this man said, "You're so beautiful. Kneel and serve me." Then, without any hesitation, he went forward, grabbed Wu Maji, and forced her to kneel. He was very, very, very powerful. He was so powerful that Wu Maji couldn't even resist his finger a few years ago. Just as she was about to suffer the greatest humiliation, the man she had always looked down on, Ningyu, rushed out and directly killed this devil-like handsome man in a suicidal manner. In extreme fear, Wu Maji really ran away, leaving her husband Ning Hua to the devil. Then, she never saw Ning Hua again, until the news of his death came. During this period, she lived in torment, pain, and hell every day, every moment, every moment. Endless regret, endless shame, and endless humiliation. She had always looked down on Ning Hua, thinking that he was weak and useless. He was a man, but he was as sensitive and delicate as a woman. She had always been proud, thinking that she was brave, strong, and fearless. She had always hated herself for not being a man. However, when the real danger came, the weak Ning Hua chose to die, while the fearless Wu Maji chose to run away. She regretted not recognizing herself and Ning Hua earlier. Then, the two of them would have been in love and had a cute baby. She regretted her cowardly decision to run away instead of choosing to fight and die with Ning Hua. So, when the news of Ning Hua's death came, she chose to be brave, to die. This was a form of relief, and also a form of redemption. However, she did not die. She came back to life. There was an extremely terrifying, mysterious, and powerful energy that made her come back to life. From then on, her cultivation improved by leaps and bounds, and her temperament changed drastically. She did not want to live, so after being resurrected by the evil energy, she tried to commit suicide many times. But she realized that she could not die at all. Then, Ning Wuming told her. Ning Hua did not die. Like Wu Maji, Ning Hua was resurrected by the evil energy. As long as Wu Maji chose to be loyal to the Lord, Ning Hua would return to her side one day. Thus, Wu Maji began her life as a witch. She killed countless people and destroyed countless people. She became another general of the Ning clan in the South Sea. Her viciousness, her loyalty to the young master of the Temple of Annihilation, was only for one purpose, and that was Ning Hua's return. So, the 29-year-old Wu Maji was pure and innocent, and did not even kiss. This was because when Ning Rua had tried to kiss her, she had been slapped in the face instead. At this moment, as she was being held hostage, she kept colliding with Yang Dingtian. She had a strange feeling that she could not stop him. Afterward, Wu Maji felt a deep sense of shame and guilt. She felt that she had betrayed her husband. Of course, she would not scold Yang Dingtian shallowly, because this had nothing to do with Yang Dingtian. Because Yang Dingtian's attention was not on her at all. Yang Dingtian, you should fulfill your promise and let Madame Wu Maji go. Suddenly, a shout came from the sky. It was Song Zhao's voice. Even though they were dozens of miles away, his voice was like thunder. Yang Dingtian lowered his head and looked at Wu Maji. Yang Dingtian, kill me. Chop off my head, Wu Maji suddenly said. I can't kill you even if I chop off your head. If you really want to die, just explode your sea of qi and you'll die for real, Yang Dingtian said. Didn't you cherish your body before? Why don't you want it now? It has already humiliated me, Wu Maji said. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to offend you, but your teleportation technique is too shocking, Yang Dingtian said. You don't know anything, Wu Maji said in her heart. Alright, thank you for escorting me. You can go, Yang Dingtian said. Say it. Yang Dingtian threw Wu Maji out. Wu Maji looked at Yang Dingtian. Today's humiliation will be returned tenfold in the future. My revenge will be very, very cruel. Yang Dingtian's face turned cold, and he ignored her. Do you think you can change anything by taking away tens of thousands of people? Don't be delusional. Cloud Sky City's destruction is destined. Your wife, your mother-in-law, and the young master of the Temple of Annihilation are destined. This group of people is destined to become cannon fodder, Wu Maji said coldly. She didn't know why she said this. She had always been cold and didn't like to talk. However, she didn't know why she would threaten Yang Dingtian today. It was as if the guilt in her heart lessened with every sentence she said to him. Yang Dingtian, I'll see you at the final battle of Cloud Sky City. I'll see you at the massacre. I'll see you at the end of Cloud Sky City. After saying this, Wu Maji disappeared into thin air, instantly disappearing without a trace. Yang Dingtian led an army of tens of thousands all the way south. At this moment, his heart was still surging. To be honest, he went north to the World Society this time. He still had high hopes for the marriage between the World Society and Qin City. However, he didn't expect Song Shao to be so greedy under his ambitious face. He actually changed sides because of the conditions Wu Maji gave him. In the end, he even abandoned his daughter and stood in the camp of the evil Dao. This caused the commander of the Devil Dragon army to be completely bitterly disappointed. It also caused Song Chunhua and Song Lihua to abandon him. Of course, if Yang Dingtian could kill Wu Maji, he would still be able to force Song Shao into a corner. However, who would have thought that Wu Maji's body had been revived by the evil spirits? No matter what, she couldn't be killed unless she blew up her own sea of qi. Moreover, who would have thought that she was so powerful? Not only did she kill countless devil dragon warriors, but she also heavily injured Song Chunhua and Vulture. If it wasn't for the Ring of Protection, the little girl would have died long ago. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's trip north this time was a complete failure. Not only did he fail to rope in the World Society, but he also made the World Society completely change sides. However, who would have thought that at the end of the road, there would be light at the end of the tunnel? In the end, he actually obtained the extremely powerful Devil Dragon army and close to 10,000 warriors. This harvest was so huge that it was even bigger than Yang Dingtian had imagined. However, the price he paid was also very high. Yang Dingtian had no choice but to reveal his identity as the hidden sect leader in advance. At this time, Yang Dingtian wasn't strong enough, so it wasn't the time to reveal his identity. However, in the end, he obtained this extremely powerful Devil Dragon army. Finally, Song Chunhua's face started to blush. Yang Dingtian adjusted his breath for a moment, stood up, and was about to walk outside. You should stay in the carriage," Song Lihua said. "That's not good," Yang Dingtian said. Then, he walked out of the carriage. Immediately, countless concerned gazes looked at him. Yang Dingtian nodded and smiled. Then, he mounted his demonic dragon mount and said, "Full speed south." "Yes!" Everyone shouted in unison. Then, more than 10,000 people, with an imposing aura, rushed south, more than 10,000 people, close to 20,000 mounts. They didn't sleep or rest along the way and traveled as fast as lightning. After 3 days and 3 nights, they had traveled close to 5,000 miles and finally left the north. Of course, the Devil Dragon army only needed 1 day and 1 night to cover this distance. But in Yang Dingtian's team, other than the 3,000 over Devil Dragon cavalry, there were more than 10,000 martial artists who were riding horses. More than 10,000 people headed south. They met countless eyes and countless scouts, but they didn't meet any obstruction. After passing through the long and narrow land bridge, the northwest continent was already in sight. More than 10,000 people galloped on their mounts. They were majestic and rushed towards the northwest continent like a tide. In front of them was the territory of the northwest Qin City. The castle that guarded this place was called Heaven Wave City. In order to guard against the World Association's invasion, the scale of Heaven Wave City was very large. It had a circumference of over 10 miles. Yang Dingtian led more than 10,000 people and arrived at the Heaven Wave City gate. He looked at Qin Huayu. Qin Huayu rode forward and said, I am the Northwest Qin city's young lord, Qin Huayu. Open the city gate and let the army pass. Ka-cha-cha, ka-cha-cha, suddenly, on the city wall, countless troops rushed out. Squeak squeak squeak, the sound of countless bowstrings being pulled could be heard. Rumble. Rumble. From the east and west, two black torrents surged forward. They were two cavalry units. Each cavalry unit had more than 10,000 people. The two cavalry units and the Heaven Wave City in front surrounded Yang Dingtian's 10,000 people in the center. Then, a familiar face appeared on the city gate. Autumn Water Sword Sect's young lord, Qiu Qingchuan. The man who once pursued Qin Mingli hated Yang Dingtian to the core. Cousin, how have you been? Qiu Qingchuan said lazily. Qin Huayu frowned and said, Open the gate and let the army pass. Qiu Qingchuan smiled and said, Cousin, if you want to pass, you can. But those cats and dogs behind you, you can't. Then, Qiu Qingchuan's face turned cold and said, Yang Dingtian, take your cats and dogs and get out of my Northwest Qin city's territory. Otherwise, it will be seen as a provocation and a declaration of war. My Qin city's army will crush your bones. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's eyes narrowed slightly. Suddenly, he saw a familiar figure among the tens of thousands of cavalry units. Qin Wanchou. The Northwest Qin city's lord, the lord of the 10,000 miles territory, the hero of his generation, Qin Wanchou. At this moment, he was looking at Yang Dingtian with a lingering aftertaste, a faint surprise, and a faint smile. Yang Dingtian, get out! Qiu Qingchuan shouted, otherwise, you will be killed. Suddenly, the three Devil Dragon army commanders were furious and were about to draw their swords. Yang Dingtian said lightly, Qiu Qingchuan, open the city gate and let us pass. Get out! Qiu Qingchuan shouted coldly. Then, she pulled her bow and shot an arrow at Yang Dingtian. Whoosh! A sharp arrow suddenly shot at Yang Dingtian's feet and sank half a foot into the ground, shaking violently. Yang Dingtian, get out of my Northwest Qin city's territory immediately. If you dare to take one step forward, it will be seen as a declaration of war. My Qin city's army will kill you. Qiu Qingchuan shouted proudly and looked at Qin Wanchou. With Qin Wanchou here, what else could he be afraid of? I will now count down from 3. If you don't leave, I will order the arrows to be released and order the war to kill you all. 3, 2, 1. As the voice fell, all the archers on the city wall aimed. Yang Dingtian raised his hand and then took a few steps back. Behind him, all the Devil Dragon army also took a few steps back. Ha 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 ha, ha ha ha. Qiu Qingchuan laughed proudly. Yang Dingtian, you finally have a day like this. You also know fear. I thought you were powerful and impressive, but it turns out that you are just a coward. Ha ha ha. Yang Dingtian pulled out his sword and looked at Qin Wanchou in the distance. He ordered, Devil Dragon army, charge into the city. Leave no one alive. Kill them all. Yes. Everyone shouted. Then, the 3,000 Devil Dragon army soldiers rushed out like a tidal wave and like thunder. Chapter 440. Release the arrows, shoot. Qiu Qingchuan, who was on the city wall, suddenly gave the order. Immediately, tens of thousands of arrows shot out from the city wall. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The arrows were as dense as rain, and the sword energy was as fast as lightning. The black mass of sharp arrows swept over like a gust of wind. And the 3,000 demon dragon knights didn't stop at all. Like a tornado, they swept over crazily. Their speed was too fast, so fast that it was suffocating. Bang, 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 the dense rain of arrows instantly smashed into the tornado-like demon dragon legion. Two black shadows fiercely collided. The arrows in this world were completely different from those on Earth. The lethality was many times greater. In ancient China on Earth, it was considered impressive to be able to open a stone bow. But here, the power was at least 3 to 5 times greater. It was enough to directly pierce through a person's armor. This rainstorm like sharp arrows smashed over ferociously, making crisp sounds in unison. Countless streaks of flames shot out. However, there were no casualties. That's right, there were no casualties. First of all, the demon dragon mount was basically invulnerable. It was extremely strong, so its entire body could be inlaid with thick armor. And under the armor, there were even harder scales on its body. Ordinary arrows, even strong crossbows, couldn't hurt it. And these demon dragon warriors were all above the martial mystic level. Of course, this kind of martial mystic level expert was similar to being matured. They were collectively cultivated. Their individual combat strength and future development of their martial strength were relatively limited. However, they were still at the martial mystic level after all. In addition, each of them had a set of elite black and gold armor on their bodies. Therefore, this rain of arrows wouldn't cause any harm to them. Therefore, this powerful and dense rain of arrows didn't cause any casualties. It didn't even slow down the Demon Dragon Legion. More than 3,000 Demon Dragon warriors, because their bodies were too big, after they spread out on the ground, they were a black mass that couldn't be seen. Their aura was like an army of tens of thousands. A short distance of a few hundred meters was too short for the Demon Dragon Legion. More than 3,000 Demon Dragon cavalry, a black mass, blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Like black lightning, they arrived in an instant. The soldiers on the city wall didn't even have time to fire a second arrow before the 3,000 Devil Dragon cavalry arrived at the foot of the city wall. The expression of the soldiers on the city wall changed. This speed, this aura, and even the gigantic and ferocious figure of the demonic dragon mount were enough to scare them out of their wits. However, what made them slightly relieved was that Heaven Wave City was very big and the city walls were very high. No matter how powerful a cavalry was, they were still cavalry and could not attack a city. Following that, they were shocked to discover that the terrifying Devil Dragon cavalry didn't slow down or stop when they reached the bottom of the city wall. Was he trying to commit suicide by banging his head against the wall? With such a fast speed, no matter how powerful the demonic dragon mount was, its head would be crushed. However, what happened next completely stunned them. The Devil Dragon army didn't need to slow down because they could directly climb up the city walls. This city wall was more than 20 meters high, and the wallpaper was steep. These demonic dragons were like geckos as they quickly climbed up. His speed was incomparably fast, and from the naked eye, there was not much difference between him and the ground. Several thousand demon dragon warriors surged forward like a black tide. All of a sudden, everyone was stunned. Not only the people on the city wall, but also Yang Dingtian and the others, including the 20,000 cavalrymen of Qin City who were watching from afar. The cavalry actually charged up the city walls. Not all of the 3,000 demon dragon cavalry climbed up the city walls. Only 1,000 of them did. The remaining 2,000 cavalrymen slowed down and stopped. They split into two groups and faced off against the 20,000 cavalrymen of Qin City. Qin Wanchou's expression instantly changed. This Devil Dragon cavalry was extremely arrogant. At this moment, there were close to 20,000 soldiers in Heaven Wave City. The Devil Dragon army, as the attacking party, only sent out 1,000 men. Qin Wanchou was leading 20,000 elite cavalrymen, but the Devil Dragon army wanted to use 2,000 men to fight. The people on the city wall didn't even have time to smash the boulders or splash the boiling oil. Amidst the astonishment, the 1,000-strong Devil Dragon army arrived at the top of the city walls under Qin Huayu's lead at lightning speed. Swish 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 swish, after reaching the city wall, all the Devil Dragon cavalry stretched out their battle blades. They didn't need to do anything, they just needed to charge over. They held onto their battle blades and flew over. Instantly, there was an endless amount of blood. Countless heads flew into the air. Just like harvesting wheat, the soldiers on the city wall didn't have any power to resist. In an instant, their heads were chopped off and half of their bodies were chopped off. They didn't even have time to cry out in pain or scream. Shwa, after the 1,000 over devil dragon cavalry swept over, the city wall was instantly emptied. The 3,000 elite warriors on the city wall were all killed in an instant. Instantly, there was only one person left on the city wall. The young master of the Autumn Water Sword sect, Qiu Qingchuan. He was completely stunned, completely shocked. Of course, he heard that the Devil Dragon Cavalry was the overlord of the ground. However, he felt that this was definitely exaggerated. This was because he hadn't seen the Devil Dragon Cavalry in battle for over 100 years. Furthermore, the Devil Dragon Cavalry didn't perform well in the world-ending war 200 years ago. Therefore, this battle in Heaven Wave City was fought for by him. Among the powers of the Northwest Qin City, the Autumn Water Sword sect was undoubtedly the most determined to rely on evil ways. In terms of enmity towards Yang Dingtian, the Autumn Water Sword sect was also undoubtedly the most intense. This point could be seen when Qin Wancho's wife represented Qin City in the Tiando League Northwest Conference and supported and advocated for sanctions against Cloud Sky City. Therefore, a few days ago, when he found out that Yang Dingtian had passed through the land bridge to head to the North Tianxia gathering, Qiu Qingchuan proposed to lead the army to enter Heaven Wave City. When Yang Dingtian returned, they would give him a fatal blow. The Autumn Water Sword sect and Qin Wancho's wife gave the greatest support and sent 20,000 people to enter Heaven Wave City. When the 3,000 Devil Dragon Cavalry rushed over, although their momentum was shocking, Qiu Qingchuan didn't think it was a big deal. He was the defender of the city and had 20,000 warriors in his hands. Not to mention, there were 20,000 cavalry in the distance who could provide support at any time. He was very optimistic about this battle. However, the cruelty of reality instantly tore apart all of his fantasies. He didn't think that the Devil Dragon Cavalry would be so fast and invulnerable. He also didn't think that they would climb up the city wall like a tide. The strong and tall city wall was completely ignored by the Devil Dragon Cavalry as if they were walking on flat ground. What happened next was a one-sided slaughter, which shocked him even more. The most elite personal guards by his side could be said to have a cultivation level that wasn't inferior to the Devil Dragon Cavalry. However, why were they killed the moment they saw them and couldn't resist at all? In less than 10 minutes, a few thousand of the most elite people on the city wall were all killed. As for the Devil Dragon Cavalry, there were still no casualties. This legendary overlord of the land was so strong that it made people feel suffocated. Why were they so strong? Because, first of all, the Devil Dragon Cavalry wasn't a real cavalry but a demon beast. In terms of cultivation, the Devil Dragon Cavalry was stronger than the cavalry on its back. Therefore, the power of the Devil Dragon Cavalry's attack was very strong. Therefore, even if they were facing warriors with a higher cultivation level, they could still kill them. Even if they couldn't kill them instantly, a few Devil Dragon Cavalry together could completely kill them. At this moment, Qin Wancho, who was far away, was completely stunned by this scene. Of course, he knew the might and power of the Devil Dragon Cavalry, but he had never seen it before. He had proposed to have an armed drill with the World Society many times and asked them to send out the Devil Dragon Cavalry because he wanted to know how strong the other party was. Then, he thought about the feasibility of attacking the World Society in the north. However, Song Shao of the World Society refused every time. Now, he finally saw how powerful the Devil Dragon Army was. It was much more powerful than he had imagined. And such a land overlord was actually obtained by Yang Dingtian. Qin Huayu lifted his mask and looked at the lonely Qiu Qingchuan on the city wall. Qiu Qingchuan's face was pale and she said in a trembling voice, "Cousin, turn back and be saved. There is no way out if you follow Yang Dingtian. There is no hope." Qin Huayu didn't say anything. Instead, he rode the Devil Dragon forward slowly and began to speed up. Qiu Qingchuan was shocked and said, "Are you going to kill me? You dare to kill me? I am already young Master Ning Wuming's slave. I am his confidant. You dare to kill me? Qin Wanchou, who was far away, narrowed his eyes and shouted, Qin Huayu, stop. Now, Qin Huayu could still turn back. If he killed Qiu Qingchuan, then there would be no turning back. Because now, Qiu Qingchuan had indeed become Ning Wuming's slave. Whoosh, Qin Huayu didn't slow down at all and rushed past Qiu Qingchuan like lightning. Qiu Qingchuan's body trembled and he raised his sword, intending to block. Whoosh! His vision turned black and then he didn't know anything. A head suddenly flew into the air. Qiu Qingchuan's head disappeared. In less than 0.1 second, his head was cut off in an instant. Even blood didn't have time to flow out. Then, the gigantic demonic dragon mount stomped over its headless corpse and crushed it into a pile of meat. Qin Wanchou saw this scene from afar and his body shook violently. His face instantly turned cold and green. At this moment, below the city wall, there were still the Autumn Water Sword Sect's army. They were looking at the city wall in horror. They watched Qiu Qingchuan get killed. After losing their leader, they didn't know what to do. They only hesitated for a moment. Qin Huayu ordered, all of them, kill them all. Yes! More than 1,000 devil dragon cavalry rushed out like lightning. In an instant, they rushed into the formation of more than 10,000 Autumn Water Sword Sect soldiers. What happened next was more ferocious and thorough than a tiger entering a flock of sheep. They were completely like harvesters. Row after row, they crazily reaped the lives of the Autumn Water Sword Sect warriors. It was a complete one-sided massacre. Even if there were only 1,000 people on one side and more than 10,000 people on the other side. Countless Autumn Water Sword Sect warriors wanted to escape, but how could they outrun the lightning-fast devil dragon cavalry? Qin Huayu wanted to turn his head and not look, but he couldn't not look. He didn't want to kill these people. Yang Dingtian didn't want to kill them even more. But they had to be killed. Autumn Water Sword Sect and White Cloud City were the two Tiando League forces that had defected to the evil ways. They had to be completely massacred. The bloodiest punishment could deter and alert the other forces that were on the verge of collapse and wanted to join them. Yang Dingtian's policy was very clear. If you join me to fight against the evil ways, then we'll be comrades in life and death. We'll be brothers. I'll never leave you. If you're afraid of the evil ways and don't dare to join us and fight against them, then it doesn't matter. You can just stand on the side and watch the battle. When the outcome is decided, you can make a decision. But if you completely join the evil ways, then I'll be sorry. Then you'll be my mortal enemy. I'll kill you all. I won't rest until I'm dead. Yang Dingtian looked at the 20,000 Qin city cavalry in the distance. He urged the devil dragon cavalry and slowly came to the city. Throw down all the heads and build a jingguan, Yang Dingtian ordered. Yes. Qin Huayu said. However, what happened next was something that no one would ever forget. Countless heads were thrown down from the city wall. Like raindrops, they fell one after another. In the end, these heads piled up into a mountain. A pyramid-like mountain that was taller than the city wall. 20,000 people, 20,000 heads piled up into a jingguan. Among them, the head at the top came from Qiu Qingchuan. The whole ground was dead silent. Looking at the huge human head, everyone felt a chill run down their spines, and cold sweat broke out on their backs. Although the sun was shining brightly in the sky, everyone felt a bone-piercing cold. Yang Dingtian urged the huge devil dragon cavalry and slowly walked to the front of the jingguan. The devil dragon cavalry smelled the scent of blood and immediately snorted. Yang Dingtian's gaze swept across the 20,000 cavalry in the distance. Of course, they didn't receive the order to attack. But even if they did, it was useless. The speed was too fast. Almost before they could react, the Autumn Water Sword Sect army in Heaven Wave City had already been wiped out. Today, in front of everyone, I officially announce my declaration. First, let's say justice again. I, Yang Dingtian, lead the Tiando League forces and stand on the side of justice. and Qin Chi, Ning Wuming and the Temple of Annihilation's young master, Li Ming, stand on the side of evil. Regarding the two opposing sides, everyone has to face it, no one can escape. Second, if someone is willing to join us, stand on the side of justice and fight against evil ways to the end. That person is my life and death brother, we will live and die together and will never betray each other. Third, if you are afraid of the power of evil ways and don't dare to be enemies, then don't worry. You can stand on the side and watch the battle. When we have a winner or loser, it won't be too late for you to choose your side. Fourth, if you are blinded by greed or have an even more evil motive, stand on the side of evil ways, stand on the side of Qin Chi and Ning Wuming, then you are the enemy of justice, the enemy of the Tiando League and me. Then no matter how noble your background is, no matter how powerful your forces are, I will kill you all. Today's Autumn Water Sword sect is an example. Now, as the leader of the hidden sect, I announce the Tiando League's first extermination order. The Autumn Water Sword sect colluded with evil ways, betrayed the Tiando League, betrayed justice, and betrayed the chaotic world. Here, I officially announce the expulsion of the Autumn Water Sword sect from the Tiando League. Kill all the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect. Announce the extermination order to all the backbone of the Autumn Water Sword sect. All forces and people in the world must draw a clear line with the Autumn Water Sword sect. All martial artists of the Autumn Water Sword sect can leave their forces within a month, draw a clear line with them, and announce that they are enemies. Otherwise, when the time comes, kill without mercy. Yang Dingtian's voice was so loud that even the deaf could hear it. At this moment, at least everyone could feel the shock in their hearts because Yang Dingtian was standing in front of 20,000 heads when he spoke. As for the other forces, when they received Yang Dingtian's proclamation, they would probably laugh their heads off. Who do you think you are, Yang Dingtian? You even want to expel them from the Tiando League, draw a clear line, and exterminate them. Ha ha ha. Who do you think you are? You can't even protect yourself. This proclamation was destined to be ridiculed by countless people. However, to Yang Dingtian's side, it was indeed crucial and had absolute strategic significance. First, draw a clear line in the world. Who was the enemy, who was the friend? Who was the evil, who was the righteous? Everything had to be clear on these 2 points before they could discuss other matters. After standing on the side of righteousness, the next step was to draw a bottom line. This bottom line was that you could sit on the fence, but before the outcome was decided, no one could side with evil ways, or else they would be exterminated. The Autumn Water Sword sect would become the first test of Yang Dingtian's proclamation. If the Autumn Water Sword sect was truly exterminated, then Yang Dingtian's proclamation would immediately have prestige and enormous weight that could intimidate the world. If a month was up, the Autumn Water Sword sect would still be alive and well. Then Yang Dingtian's proclamation would become a complete laughingstock. After speaking, Yang Dingtian glanced at Qin Wanchou in the distance and was about to lead the army through Heaven Wave City and return to Cloud Sky City. Of course, according to their original plan, they had to make a trip to Qin City. The first step in Yang Dingtian's political battle was the marriage alliance between Qin Huayu and the World Society. The second step was to use the World Society's marriage alliance to go to Qin City and suppress Qin Wanchou, so that the scales wouldn't slide towards the evil ways. They didn't ask him to completely stand on Yang Dingtian's side, but at least not to completely stand on the evil ways side. Especially not to send a large number of troops to attack Cloud Sky City in the battle a month later. However, plans couldn't keep up with changes. Yang Dingtian, your World Society strategy had basically failed. Although the gains were huge, it also directly fell out with Song Shao, and the World Society's forces had completely sided with the evil ways. The first step of the marriage alliance had failed, so the second step of threatening Qin Wanchou naturally didn't need to be used. It was also because of the failure of the first step that Yang Dingtian had no choice but to reveal his title as the hidden sect master in advance and release Yang Dingtian's proclamation in advance. Otherwise, according to the plan, after winning the battle with Qin Chi, he he planned to use the prestige of his victory to release the proclamation against the evil ways. This way, it would have a huge deterrent force to the world. However, his political battle had failed. He had no choice but to release the Yang Dingtian's proclamation in advance. However, this proclamation was like a currency without the country's credit. It was destined to have no power or value for the time being. Therefore, he had to let blood and slaughter, victory and battle make this proclamation more and more prestigious and more deterrent force. The 20,000+ heads in Heaven Wave City would be the first smear of blood that dyed Yang Dingtian's proclamation red. After Qin Wanchou heard this proclamation, he directly let out a cold laugh and then sat on the throne with a leisurely and lofty posture, waiting for Yang Dingtian to come up and negotiate. He knew that Yang Dingtian really wanted to negotiate with him. Even his life and death to a large extent was entrusted to him, Qin Wanchou. Otherwise, Yang Dingtian also wouldn't have traveled thousands of miles to the world gathering to choose a marriage for Qin Huaiyu. Wasn't it to increase the weight of his negotiation with Qin Wanchou? Therefore, in terms of both parties' positions, Qin Wanchou was detached and had the initiative and was high and mighty. Even though Yang Dingtian had started a massacre just now, which was equivalent to slapping Qin Wanchou's face. However, his son was after all on Yang Dingtian's side. Therefore, he was still willing to grant Yang Dingtian a chance to negotiate. Qin Wanchou also really enjoyed this feeling of controlling people's fate. However, Yang Dingtian didn't even turn his head back and directly left with tens of thousands of people. Qin Huaiyu also only turned his head to take a look before following Yang Dingtian and left. Qin Wanchou trembled. What game was Yang Dingtian playing? Playing what kind of loosening the reins to grasp better? There was still one more point. Qin Wanchou indeed felt very shocked. That was, his son, Qin Huaiyu, was actually so dead set on Yang Dingtian. How arrogant was Qin Huaiyu? How smart was he? How much did he look down on Yang Dingtian previously? The two of them were even enemies. But at this time, Qin Huaiyu was actually completely obedient to Yang Dingtian's orders, following his lead blindly, even putting him, this father, aside too. He originally thought that Yang Dingtian was loosening the reins to grasp better and Qin Wanchou wasn't willing to fall for it. But when Yang Dingtian's troops completely disappeared from Heaven Wave City, Qin Wanchou finally could not resist and said loudly, "Yang Dingtian, aren't you preparing to have a talk with this old man?" Qin Huaiyu, seeing your father, you're not coming over to pay respects? Yang Dingtian and Qin Huaiyu exchanged a glance, then nodded their heads. The two people rode two steeds, heading towards Qin Wanchou at lightning speed. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.